Everybody wants to scratch an itch, but nobody ever wants to feel this wrath. Does anybody want a bag of ricks in the cold moonlight? Everybody wants to smack a ditch. Life's a twisted plot, call it a glitch. Time to flex, no more being rich. Stitches acting funny, man, they switch. Streets are cold, gotta stay thug. People playing games, they pullin' a rug. Talking big, but they just a bug. Ballin' hard while they tryna plug. Smack a niche, reality's a bitch. Life's a dirty game, scratching that itch. Every day grind like we in a pitch. You either rise up, or you end up in a ditch. Haters hating hard, but I'm on my grind. Stacking paper while they fallin' behind. Got my crew tight, we ain't never blind. Flexing on the haters, we a different kind. Spit fire flames, yeah, we in the booth. All these fake thugs just hide the truth. Chillin' with the real, we ain't got no sleuth. Keep your head high, show 'em what's the proof. Stacking off the podcast, coming at you from the downside. You wanna ride or do you running high? Smack a niche, reality's a bitch. Life's a dirty game, scratching that itch. Every day grind like we in a pitch. You either rise up, or you end up in a ditch. Smack a niche, reality's a bitch. Life's a dirty game, scratching that itch. Every day grind like we in a pitch. You either rise up, or you end up in a ditch. Haters hating hard, but I'm on my grind. Stacking paper while they fallin' behind. Got my crew tight, we ain't never blind. Flexing on the haters, we a different kind. Spit fire flames, yeah, we in the booth. All these fake thugs just hide the truth. Chillin' with the
He would be so scared to see me.
Everybody thinks we was doing this shit, doxing motherfuckers. Nah, they came at us first.
I got a fire raging in my front yard.
Oh, why did you set your front yard on fire? Are you drinking again?
Slacking off the podcast. Fuck your city, dog balls. Because fuck authorities. Slacking off the podcast. Fuck your team, dog balls. You call them sports authorities.
Slacking off the podcast.
Yo, what's up?
All right, guys, welcome back to the show.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Doug?
I can.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I guess Streamlabs decided to be nice tonight, right?
Oh yeah, I got a new tablet, so anything was possible.
So yeah, there's some games today. We got a lot bigger games to talk about, but I guess we got to mention some of this shit, right?
Well, the Texas Tech game versus Arkansas, man, is a real barn burner. Man, they put up 500 total yards between the two teams in the first half.
I was kind of shocked that Georgia Tech came back and made it interesting after the delay.
Oh, really? Well, actually, I hadn't picked it up since the delay. How interested did it get?
35-27, I believe.
Oh, hell yeah. So what about Big Ed? Is he with us here tonight?
I don't see Ed. Ed came in a couple times and he kept disappearing. Sean, are you there?
Well, I am here. Can you hear me, gentlemen?
Yes. Jason?
Hey, happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone as well. And Jason, are you on here, brother?
Yeah, y'all got me?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And I think I had a great Christmas, guys. I hope you all did too. It's been a great season. Now we're into the heart and the meat of the football, and it don't get no bigger than this round coming up at the college football playoff. And I guess that's our late Christmas gift.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I was in before.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can't hear you, Nikki.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Let me take a shot and make sure you can hear me.
I can hear you.
I love you.
So here we are smacking off the podcast. Tonight we're going to talk about the second round of the CFP, and we're here with our cast members, Sean Devine, Ed Scribner, Nikki Mays, our special guest, Jason Marks, our producer, Doug Phillips, and I'm your host, Dr. Balls, and it's time to kick this thing off, guys.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I guess if we got to talk about one thing out of the gate, I would think it would be Tennessee's great performance.
Tennessee sucks ass.
Tennessee's great performance in the opening round.
I'm going to take a shot for that. Tennessee sucks ass.
Okay, Nikki, I have to ask this, and you'll get the inside joke on this.
Yeah.
But if you remember Lex and Terry's radio show,
Yes.
that was on 95 Rock in Augusta,
100%.
and they had a certain segment every Friday. Are you bringing that back tonight?
Let's do it. You want to do it, Jason? Me and you can do it.
Well, you're already way ahead of all of us, so I think at this point we have no choice, right?
You know what, Jason? I'm sober. So I'm
Howard Stern.
You be the Terry.
Yeah, and I'm Howard Stern.
Well, I think if it really comes down to it, I should be Howard Stern and you should be Lex and Terry, right?
Yeah, either one of them. But the name of the segment was called Drunk Bitch Friday. That's what it was.
I'm all about it. Let's do it.
So what do you got for us? What do you got for our fans of Tennessee, such as Jen Chavez?
Do we really want to go there with Tennessee tonight? Can we just say, you know what? Let's start it and end it with fuck Tennessee.
I didn't hear any SEC fans saying, "Oh, they shouldn't have got in."
I think. Well, I mean, I think it's apparent that they shouldn't have, but you got to put somebody in, right? So I really don't know that the committee made any errors, really.
Well, think about it this way.
All of the opening round games were blowouts.
Well, Ohio State was just.
What did they do? That was horrible. I would rather watch Indiana, SMU, you name it.
What's up, Jane?
Say hi, Dave. Say hi, baby. Like, out of all of those, Tennessee, shit the bed, honey. They shit it.
Well, tell us what you're going to say, Jason.
Well, I was just going to say, everybody, we should be past the hemming and hawing now about who got in, who got left out, who deserved to be in, and who didn't. But if we're really being honest with ourselves, were there 12 teams that were national championship caliber? Not
Hell no.
really.
There
No.
never
No.
is. There never is. In
Never.
my opinion.
So you would say probably there's 6 that are national championship caliber teams, and
I
2
would
of them are
say
going to get eliminated this next round.
nowhere
So is
near.
the 12-team playoff for money or is it for competition then? If we all acknowledge that there's not 12 championship teams, right? I don't even believe there's 4 championship teams myself. But if there's not 12 championship teams, then basically is it a cash grab? How do you think, Sean?
Well, sure. I mean, there's not 68 basketball teams that can win the championship.
Can I say this? There's not one that played this last weekend that deserved it.
Yeah, Dr. Balls, did you really have to ask that question? We know it's all about money because they backed off expanding as much as possible until they realized, okay, now we know how we can maximize the revenue and get more TV ratings and revenue, and then they're talking about expanding it even again, which I don't think you could put the toothpaste back in the tube and get it back to 8 and get it back to 4. If you really think that there's a realistic chance of that, I think you're being naive. So it comes down to we have the 12-team playoff, which, to tell you the truth, I haven't had any problems yet. There's a couple of things there may be 1 or 2 things I would change about it, and we could talk about that later. But the way that it's set up now, I'm glad that conference championships are once again have some value to them. Like it's not just an exhibition for money, like you posed the question, Dr. Balls. It has value to it now. Now the whole debate about, well, should some conference champions get a first round bye compared to others, like maybe Oregon, maybe Georgia, compared to Boise State and Arizona State? I think that's a debatable topic,
Win your
but I
game.
think I know. But I think it just comes down to if you want to talk about maybe giving the non-conference champions a bye and rather just seed them according to what their ranking is, what their caliber is, and everything like that. Keep the conference champions. But you have to do one thing in order for me to sign off on it. And that is Notre Dame should have an opportunity for one of those first round buys, even though they're an independent.
They should have had a bye this year.
I would echo everything that Jason said, and he's absolutely it's a money. I mean, people were in those stadiums packed to the gills, so they were spending money the day before the game, the day of the game, tailgating, and then in the stadium during the game. So once like he said, the toothpaste out of the tube, it doesn't go back in. But it seemed like everybody that went to those games, other than the Tennessee fans, because that's a long 5.5-hour drive home for laying a third, had a good time. I think SMU would tell you they were a little bit outclassed, having to go up to, 106,000 seat, state college. Indiana, I think, just decided to play their worst game of the year at the wrong time. I think they're better than what they showed against Notre Dame, but the moment might have been a bit big for them. And then we had a great game between Clemson and Texas. So,
but I also think most people are underestimating Notre Dame.
Well, maybe.
But,
and to me, we'll find out in the Sugar Bowl.
But, do you feel like Notre Dame had like the perfect game plan on defense, or do you feel like Indiana may have overthunk it on offense?
I think Indiana gave up on trying to run the ball too soon, to be honest with you.
I agree with you.
I think, and the thing that maybe, as many coaching awards and laurels that Cignetti's getting, and he deserves them for getting, Indiana to the playoff and being 11-1, something Indiana fans for football wouldn't have dreamed about in the last 30, 40 years.
Don't start your shit right now.
Is that is that the strength of the Notre Dame defense is the secondary. It has been all year, and even despite losing Ben Morrison, we've got depth in the secondary because that's what Coach Freeman, has recruited
He's
very,
beautiful.
very well. So for them to think that they were going to throw the ball on us all over the yard was a grave
get your ass
mistake.
out.
Was a grave mistake when the success has been being able to run the ball on Notre Dame. And I think that's something you're gonna see Georgia do when we talk about that game here in a few minutes. But hats off to Indiana. They fought all the way to the end too. I mean, they didn't quit. They kicked an onside kick, got it, and went down and scored. So, and then the simple fact is, Indiana and Tennessee both played Ohio State in the shoe. And you know which one got beat worse?
Tennessee sucks donkey dick.
It wasn't Indiana. It wasn't, but Indiana didn't belong. So, there's that.
Now I got to agree with you about Notre Dame's secondary, Sean. I noticed that not only were the safeties in the right places due to the defensive call, but they were making intuitive plays that involved making the right read, and they came up right every time.
Well, there's that back-to-back consensus. Should have been back-to-back unanimous, but that's a gripe for the Football Writers Association of America for another day. But man, Xavier Watts just continuing to make plays, even though somehow he didn't get a Thorpe Award nomination. But
honestly, to say that Notre Dame is not as bad as everyone wants to say they are.
I think people continue to weigh that Northern Illinois loss like an albatross that won't go away. When, again, I mentioned it on this program after, you go down in the first week and play a hell of a game to beat Texas A&M in a raucous environment at Kyle Field. Those dudes are like looking at Northern on paper and, the old Nick Saban rat poison got them. Well, then they woke up and go, "Oh man, we got to win out here." And they went on a rampage the rest of the season. I think the only win they had in the regular season that wasn't by double digits was to a very good Louisville team, and Bob can attest to how good that Louisville team is.
Yeah, they got a quarterback.
Shit happens.
Bob don't want to attest to it, though, do you, Bob?
No, I don't want to bet too, but they did have a top-notch quarterback, and Brahms in his second year really had Louisville cooking. I got to give him credit as far as the offense goes.
And Notre Dame beat Navy 51-14. Well, we saw what Navy did today.
Yeah, Navy won. Navy won the SEC today, Sean.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No, they did. They beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia.
Well, I don't think we operate via the transitive property here. But
come on, man. Come on.
Although the transitive property is very fun for trolling.
It is. Yes, I would agree. But I think Oklahoma also thought Navy was just going to roll over. The thing you got to understand, people don't understand. Obviously, the talent at the service academies isn't what the talent is, but the difference is these guys play the game with the theory of, I'm going to go as hard as I can until I either tear an ACL or break a leg or they don't care about their bodies whatsoever.
Well, Navy was down 14 and came back and won, which would
exactly
be a little bit of an
95-yard run. How about the 95-yard run?
Oklahoma has legit defense. They have a legit defense, but their offense is fucking terrible. And I say Alabama goes down there and they start whoever the fucking backup is, they probably win the game.
It's next man up.
Because Oklahoma really just zeroed in on stopping Hurts. I mean, sorry, not Hurts. Milroe, and they did. And Alabama had no answer.
It did hurt. I mean, it really did.
Now think about this possibility, guys. If the service academies can keep players 3 and 4 years, that they may have better coached and more polished teams than the transfer portal teams, even though they have more talent in the future.
Well, the problem is now is, and we just recently saw it here. So what the thing to know about the service academies is, if you attend the service academies, you're not committed to the military until classes start in the fall of your junior year. And so players that play as freshmen and sophomore that sort of have success, and we saw this in a different sport, we saw it in baseball, with Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is playing at Air Force. And he realizes, wait a minute, I can go have a big league career. LSU grabbed him up real quick. He left the Air Force Academy. But we just saw that one of the players with Army who had a great year, he decided, you know what, I've done 2 years here, but I got a chance to go make some big
But we're
coin.
seeing that now because of Paul Skeens. Because of Paul Skeens, so we're seeing that in football.
So you're gonna see these freshmen and sophomores leave the service academies to chase big money, and I don't blame them.
Wait, they can do that?
Real quick. Can I say
You're
this
not.
real quick?
Yeah, you're not committed, Ed, until right before classes start in the fall semester of your junior year at the service academies. You're not tied to a military commitment.
But did that happen after David Robinson? Because David Robinson had to see his entire 6-year commitment out initially, and then they gave him
because Bob,
a waiver.
once David Robinson started his junior year at the Naval Academy, now you're committed. So you have, when you get on campus, which is usually June before your freshman year starts, because you go through what Army calls like Beast Barracks Plebe Summer before the classes even start. They're just doing Army training that whole summer. You get that time, and then your whole freshman year, and then your whole sophomore year before you actually have to decide, like, I'm going to make the military a career. So now these players that are playing so well in any sport at the service academies before their junior year can go, you know what? I don't need the military career now because I'll throw a team out for it. Like, say Kentucky comes calling, you know, we could use you as a linebacker on our team, and we'll offer you $1 million. Well, you look at what a current second lieutenant makes on the Army pay table versus getting $1 million to play a year or two of college football.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of an easy decision.
They probably make my guess these days based on what my wife made in the late 80s, early 90s as a lieutenant. I'd say they'd be lucky to clear $3,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe 48 or 49,000 a year. So, if a comparative program is going to say, "Hey, I'm going to offer you $1,800,000," you'd be foolish not to take it, as long as you can manage your money, you know.
Hell yeah.
And meanwhile, we have Jim Larinaga. You know, this isn't a basketball forum, but you know him crying about having to re-recruit his players. Like, weren't you the one who left George Mason for big cash at the University of Miami? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you're right about that. You don't want to put in the work is what it is. So that's really the thing. If you're Saban, you're Larinaga. Of course, I'm not comparing Larinaga to Saban. I mean, they're on different levels of greatness. But if you're a coach like that and you've had some success and you've been around a long time and now all of a sudden you've got to work your ass off 24/7, there's no break period for you to depressurize. You got to stay in on these transfers. It might be less appealing for you. But, you know, if you're a young coach that's full of energy, you can beat that trail harder than other people do and bring quick success to a team. And even though he's been doubted, I know he's not in the CFP. I'm impressed by Deion Sanders this year, and a couple more turns would have went his way. He would have been the CFP. So somebody that's got the fire to get out there and recruit could win now.
I think you're going to see more and more coaches as soon as they can go to the NFL, because now, frankly, the college workload is vastly more challenging than even the NFL workload.
And I wouldn't be surprised if college coaches start sounding the alarm a lot more, because we brought up great examples of Nick Saban from the football standpoint, Jim Larinaga from the basketball standpoint. Tony Bennett at Virginia at one point decided to step away right before the season started, and where I famously said on this show, to paraphrase what he said, was, fuck this, I'm out. That's pretty much what he said.
I thought he broke his heart in San Francisco.
Or he.
Let's talk Vandy.
That's true, Sean.
I see what you did there, and I'm not mad at it. Good job, buddy.
Let's talk about Vandy.
Little fun, little levity.
But I think as more coaches like Kirby Smart and the big name coaches come out and say, listen, We have to do something about this. And right now, the only answer to do anything about this would be through the United States Congress, which that's a whole other topic for another time.
Hold your breath.
Yes, exactly.
Hold up. Stop. We're
What is
watching
it?
Vandy tonight, right? Georgia fans, of all fans, we all know how Georgia is. Georgia fans, top tier Georgia Tech, because they went into how many overtimes, is getting their ass kicked by Vandy tonight.
No, it's over.
Well, it's over, and it was an 8-point win for Vandy.
It's still
Yeah,
delayed.
Georgia Tech came back and made it respectable.
But it doesn't matter.
What Sean
kicked.
what Sean said earlier is correct.
got their
You can't look at can't look at this team played this team
They got
and then
their ass kicked. It doesn't matter how you want to say it. Diego. Thank you, Diego.
I would argue that the motivation for both programs is different for going to the Birmingham Bowl.
Won a fucking bowl.
Yeah, no disrespect to our listeners in the Birmingham area, but Georgia Tech has in its history arguably 5 national championships, 5 SEC championships when it used to be.
Does it matter?
It absolutely does. Those are not
right
comparative
now.
programs.
You know
I mean, I'm happy for Vanderbilt.
You want to know why it doesn't matter right now? Is because I heard when Georgia and Georgia Tech played, they went into how many overtimes? How many?
7, 8?
51.
I think it was like 90, 99. Okay.
It was a lot.
99 overtimes on the wall. 99 overtimes.
Let's go there. But you know what I heard for weeks until just until yesterday? Georgia Tech was a top tier fucking team. Right?
I feel like Nikki's been talking to a lot of Georgia Bulldog fans lately.
Like top tier. How the fuck are they a top tier goddamn team and they're getting beat by Vandy? Cheers. I'm just gonna say this right now. I don't care who you are. Cheers to Diego.
I think we're all happy that Vanderbilt won the game. I don't think there's any denying that we're happy for
Vanderbilt got fucked up by a very hard schedule.
I don't care.
I'm definitely happy, but
Diego.
I don't want to lose sight of the fact that Tennessee players, did they run their mouths? It was just the fans,
yes. Right? Fans and players. They're talking about planting flags, nailing North. I mean,
Doug, did you just say that?
They planted the flag, Bob.
Tangy River.
So we've got to acknowledge they might not have planted the flag in Ohio State's logo in the middle of the field, but they planted the flag right in their own ass.
Did you just say that? They ran on the field with no clothes on. Do you want me to take my clothes off right now? Like, honestly, that is like talking the most shit ever.
You're right.
Like,
it was bad.
Oh, we can come in here and beat your ass and we're naked. Like, seriously?
I mean, if I was Tennessee, I would have wanted to come in under the radar. I knew on paper Ohio State was a much better team.
You know what?
And hey, and I'm going to pat myself on the back. I missed a lot of shit last week, but that's the one I didn't miss.
You were spot on that one, Doug.
And I know y'all thought it was because I hated Tennessee, but no, that's not it. I love Tennessee.
Hate Tennessee. It's not Tennessee.
I loved it. I love the state of Tennessee, by the way. Just love the state. No income tax. Just throwing that out there.
Well, you love it because you live there. It's kind of. It's like
are you a national?
Texas. I love me some Texas.
Well, no, Tennessee is the place is wonderful. Johnson City, Kingsport, the way people's treated me around there, just a little bit south of me. I mean, that's the best people we ever meet in your life. But we're talking Tennessee fans and the Tennessee Volunteers, a team that's coaches has historically ratted each other out and other teams in the conference, right, in order to get what they want. There's nothing prideful about their program. There's nothing prideful about their actions. Their players acted the fool. Their fans acted the fool. And then they went to Ohio State and got crushed. That's just poetic justice if you just like the
You know
Volunteers.
what, Dr. Balls?
I agree, Dr. Balls, and I hope before they decided to make that 5.5 hour drive back to Knoxville, they grabbed themselves a bag of McDonald's.
Dr. Balls, can I say this? Their fans are as big as their quarterback's forehead. It kept growing.
Wow. Poor Nico. Nico's taking shots here.
Nico catching strays, man.
I know. What's wrong with Nico? I like Nico. I think I think he's got some work to do, but
he doesn't have a coach that's going to develop him.
I know that was obvious. But he showed a lot of. I give Nico a lot of credit in that game. He showed a lot of durability, a lot of toughness. The elements were not great that night. So I don't blame Nico one bit. I don't.
I do. I watched him all season.
Do you think the injury to Dylan Sampson? Do you think the injury to Dylan Sampson affected him any, even though he come back later in the game a little bit?
I do.
Absolutely.
But I do think that, as Doug said, Ohio State obviously it's been documented as one of the, most expensive rosters. But the one thing about Ohio State's defense, if Ohio State can play base defense with just the 4 down linemen, and you can't make them get out of that 4 down lineman base, you're going to have a real hard time beating Ohio State. Because if they can stop the run with the 4 down lineman and get pressure on the quarterback with 4 down linemen, with basically a robber linebacker in the middle.
But by the way, Dylan Sampson plays for the draft.
John, I love
He did.
you.
The recipe was given to you by Michigan. It forced Ohio State to put more defenders in the box and play the game in a phone booth. And Tennessee couldn't do that.
John, I love you. I've watched Tennessee all season. I'll tell
I
you
haven't
right
watched
now.
Tennessee one bit, of course.
There is not. They can't handle it.
Well, that was obvious within the first 5 series of the game.
Honey, they couldn't handle Florida.
It was 21-0 faster than Dr. Balls
injured.
could get Wi-Fi service up there in the mountains.
Handle it. You really want to go there? Florida. My team. My blood.
What's up, Dad?
I mean, shout out to Florida. We never talked about.
They got injured. Come on, they can't handle shit.
So let me just go ahead and say that we never mentioned Florida on the podcast last week, and they whooped Tulane's ass. So
they beat their former SEC rivals' ass. Poor Tulane, the Green Wave.
Doug,
I'm looking.
Doug, because I love you, I want to take another shot to that. Let me just say this real quick.
All right. On that note,
it doesn't matter about that. They could not handle not just Florida. They couldn't handle anyone else. They handled after playing Oklahoma. Oklahoma opened that gate.
All right. Commercial, and we come back and we talk about these big games coming up.
Let's sell some product.
CBD for Life offers a variety of THC-free CBD products, including CBD rubs, gummies, tinctures, sprays, CBD skincare products, and more. Expertly crafted to help you look and feel your best. Go to smecology.42web.io and click our CBD for Life link at the top of the page for great deals on assorted CBD products.
Smacking Off the podcast can use your support. How can you support us? You can buy awesome products using our affiliate links. These are products you want, products you need, in other words, stuff you will likely buy anyway. go to smackology.42web.io and use our affiliate links at the top of the page. eBay, Fiverr, CBD for Life, A Premium Auto Parts, Clear VPN, Haley AI, Fans Edge, and Pinpause. We appreciate your support today, as well as in the future.
Smacking Off merch is available at our spread shop. Find awesome hoodies and t-shirts in all colors. Want it in your team color? Hit us up and tell us what you want, and we'll send you the web address for your custom shirt within 1 day. Go to smackology1.myspreadshop.com for awesome smacking off stuff.
Look at our. We had emergency.
Prioritize your pet's health, not financial stress. Comprehensive accident and illness coverage. Preventative care. No breed or age restrictions. For pet-centric membership perks included. Plans starting at $19.99 a month. Don't let inflation catch you unprepared. Your pet is counting on you for everything. Go to smackology.42web.io and click the pin pause link at the top of the page for the best pet care insurance in the business.
All right, guys. Yeah. And plus, you should our advertisers should do business with them. And I got to say, CBD back rub does me a lot of good. Probably would you too. So on to the playoffs, Doug.
So does that come right out of the plant, or just tell me about CBD real quick?
We're gonna take a shot. I need some CBD because the shots are just not hitting.
The way the CBD works is they raise hemp for it instead of full-blown marijuana. They use hemp, and that's a big boon to the economy of Kentucky. So that's why I appreciate that particular advertiser. That's a big boon to us here in Kentucky, where we have raised hemp for probably since the 1770s, and we raised more hemp in the history of the world during World War II to support the war effort. And so we're willing to get her done. And so you can have that CBD.
A little known fact that our forefathers were big hemp fans.
Oh, yeah, including George Washington. He said that hemp was the solution to every economic problem of America.
Yeah.
And so I like to use it.
And that's what the Indians put in their peace pipe too. So.
So now this will be Smacking Off the Podcast, brought to you by weed.
Well, it's not really weed. It's hemp. But I'm not against it being for weed. If a major legal marijuana entity wants to support the podcast, I'm all for it, right? I mean,
let's get high.
Hashtag light that shit up.
Yep, I've got one question about this first game we're going to talk about. Am I the only one that's feeling a little weird about this game?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think Penn State's so much more powerful on both sides of the ball.
I think they are, but I'm going to pick Penn State. And I'm not going to give away my score yet, but I'm not going to pick them by a lot because I have this weird. I think I need to ride the fence a little bit on this one because I'm getting nostalgic. It's like 2000s all over again. And Boise's going to do it all.
Where's this game being played at, Doug?
Does it matter? Does it really matter?
Man, ghosts of Fiesta Bowls past.
Yeah, there you go, Sean.
Does it matter?
Sure, it does.
What? I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked. But maybe it's all hot. Maybe I'm just trying to grab hold of my youth a little bit here. But
it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Oh, you're thinking about the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl with Boise State? You're looking at something like that? Now, that's what I find interesting.
You got one player, right?
Sometimes one player is all you need.
It is. It has got them to where they are, right? They're here. They're strong. But guess what? They're after one player.
But
One player.
this is
They're
still
going to destroy him.
James Franklin's still the guy. And I
That's
realize
true.
that they did it
I
last.
don't like James.
They did it first
Franklin.
round. I
Go
get it.
Boise.
But this is still James Franklin.
This is not a game that
I
people
don't like
expect
James
Franklin to lose, like against Ohio State.
Bob,
Like
Bob, are you look? You're Bob's looking down at Nikki on the screen there.
Oh,
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Oh,
But let
I
me
didn't
just
even.
explain this real quick.
Hold on, real quick, Nikki. You want to impress me? Stick your arm up into Bob's screen. No, it ain't there.
No, it was really her take was so interesting to me. I really didn't notice that.
Dr. Balls. Can I explain this real quick? This is
Yeah, break it down for
no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really. Are we really going there?
About whether or not it matters where they play at. I mean, it don't really matter where they play at.
It doesn't matter.
Other than the historic aspects
You know
of
what?
the
I
Fiesta
love
Bowl.
me some Gentry. I love me some Gentry, and I pray on a daily basis that he becomes a Cowboy because I love him that much. But I do not think he will. He's not going to go any further. Come on.
Anything can happen. And like you said, James Franklin's been known to shit the bed. It seems like
We've heard that how many years in a row? I'm a Gator. I've heard that. It doesn't matter. We're just going to say luck. It doesn't matter. At this point, he ain't going further than where he's at right now. But we'll go ahead and get on your knees, baby.
So, Ed,
your husband to get on his knees and pray that we get Gentry because he ain't going any further than this weekend.
So, Ed, since you're a Big Ten aficionado, right? I really like to see your take on Penn State, man.
I mean, I think they're going to win the game.
Exactly.
They know that.
God damn it, Ed.
Whoa. I don't like Penn State. I never have.
I hate Penn
I never
State.
will.
Oh, just keep on going.
But I think they're going to win the game. I think that Boise will be a lot more competitive than SMU. But I already said it, 34-20 Penn State. Boise State's not going to stop them.
I mean, I don't know if Boise State's going to stop them, but James Franklin might stop them.
Look, do you want me to be honest? I love Gentry. I love Gentry. I want Gentry to be a Cowboy. I want Gentry to be.
I want Diego to be a Cowboy too.
You know what? If you want to be honest, I will leave my husband for Gentry. Like let's just be honest.
Former Chicago Bears wide receiver Dennis Gentry. He's got to be like 65 years old.
or Montgomery Gentry.
I will leave my husband.
Actually, I know John Michael and his brother. And John Michael dated my sister in the early 90s. And they gave my daughter, when she was about 4 years old, a 7-foot life-size picture of him. And then I moved his fence from on Ash Grove Pike out to another part of Jessamine County for him. Right after the Gulf War, so those guys are something else. So, he's the biggest hypocrite that ever lived because he says Daddy won't sell the farm. But John Michael ain't got no problem selling the farm. He raped hundreds of acres of Jessamine County prime smallmouth creek territory and turned our pristine limestone creek into a mud hole so he could build a subdivision.
You want my honest opinion? I want Boise to take it all the way to the house. I want them to win it. But I'm going to be honest, there's no chance in hell.
So, no way they can win it. Penn State's going to dominate them. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win the game myself, 30-23. I think they're going to dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. And Jonty's going to do the best he can. He's going to get a lot of carries, but it's not going to matter after some point. You'd have to be the worst coach in the world to not see what needs to be done here, right? I mean, I don't know what to say, Jason. How bad would you have to coach this game to figure out how to lose it if you're Penn State?
You want to know how to lose it? Be a dumbass. Like,
Well, yeah,
come
pretty
on.
much. Yeah.
You need to lose
But
yourself.
it comes down to this where you're kind of leaning into more of like, sometimes coaches can outcoach themselves and coach themselves out of a win. We've seen it numerous times. But
And
I was looking at
James Franklin's been one that's done that.
James Franklin is classically great at grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory.
but now I think though in this case it's going to come down to this. For Penn State, they're going to load up the box. You stop number 2. And I was looking at Ashton Genty's stats from this season. I was looking at his game logs. You know how many games he had of 200 yards or more? 6. He had 6 games of over 200 yards, which is very impressive and has carried Boise State a lot. He had 192 in the game against Oregon in which they lost. So they were able to score on a good Oregon defense. The key on that is for Penn State, they're going to have to contain him. They're going to have to force the quarterback to start throwing to receivers or getting out quick slants, RPOs, because I've been very high on this front 7 from Penn State, and they proved me right in the series against SMU with a capable quarterback in Kevin Jennings. So it's going to be an uphill battle from Boise from that standpoint. And on the offensive side, they have a 2-headed monster led by Nick Singleton that could just run and wear them down and wear them down and wear them down until eventually the dam breaks and the game is pretty much decided at that point. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think the final in this game will be Penn State 31, Boise State 14.
I think it's a good take. And the only way Boise could put a shock in Penn State, in my opinion, is to take a shot early and hit it, which is unlikely. So, in other words, Penn State loads the box, and in anticipation of Jonty, they run play action, hit somebody deep for something big early. But you can only do it once or twice a game. But and if you waste your downs by taking shots and don't get first downs, and then a team like Penn State can score consecutively 3 or 4 times in a row, So it's up to a battle for Boise. That's what I'm seeing, Sean. What do you think?
You want to know my point?
They both have the common opponent in Oregon. Boise State did better against Oregon in their building than Penn State did at a neutral site, which was mostly pro Penn State fans in Indianapolis. And I agree with Jason's theory and philosophy. Penn State's going to load the box to stop Ashton Genty. But the two are not that far apart as I look at the stats in passing yards per game. Penn State throws the ball for 228 yards a game, and Boise State throws the ball on average for 219 yards a game. So if I'm Boise State, sneaky Boise State, I let them load the box, and I'm going to jump on them and go the other way with some air raid. I'm gonna throw 3-4 wide receivers at them and make Penn State cover and prove they can cover. Because I'll tell you who got chewed up a little bit by Penn State. A not great quarterback, whose name is escaping me right now. It'll come to me, from Illinois. And Illinois, as Ed can attest, what you'd call world beaters. Now, Penn State was fortunate in that game. They were playing in Happy Valley and not Champaign-Urbana. But if Boise State's quarterback can give you anything that Illinois' quarterback can give you, this is going to be a 60-minute game. The thing that Boise State should take from the SMU loss is don't lose the game early. Don't piss the game away in the first 15 minutes of the game.
I'm all on that. I'm 100% on board with what you're saying, Sean, but I'm going to tell you right now that Penn State's going to destroy them. I hate to say it because I want Boise State to go on because I love Gentry and I want Gentry as my pro guy.
You guys are going to re-sign Ezekiel Elliott for another 3 years. So
I love me some Zeke. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
I don't know how he's going to get the
Really?
handoff when he's got a walker. But
Really? Really? I'm gonna play that, Sean, right now. You know I love me some Zeke. And I hate Ohio State, but
we
I love
got
me
Dak,
some Zeke.
we got Zeke,
But
we
I'm
got
gonna say
CD.
this
We
right
going
now.
to the Super Bowl.
Can I say this right now? Can I say this right now? There is one team. There's one team when it comes to being a Gator. Okay, one team. My team has played many times. Lord help us all. And I have watched in the Citrus Bowl because Lord help. The Lord. Yeah.
Cowboys are playing in the Citrus Bowl.
I'm saying when it comes to my team as the Gators that's had to play Penn State, and I've had to watch in the fucking Citrus Bowl, other than Michigan, it's been Penn State. It doesn't matter if it was against the Gators. It doesn't matter if it was against the Tennessee Volunteers. It doesn't matter who it was against. They are amazing fucking fans, and I love them. I will give props to Penn State fans.
Except for
matter.
Kyle Golick. Except for Kyle Golick. Fuck Kyle Golick.
Exactly.
Kyle
Fuck
Golick
Kyle
is gonna be
Golick.
covering this
Fuck
game, as a
him
matter of fact.
for
He's gonna cover
fucking
this
me
He will be
over.
covering this game.
Okay, can we all just say this? Fuck him for fucking me over. But I'm just gonna say this real quick. I would give anything for Boise State to come out on top because I love Gentry, because I want him a Cowboy. I want him on my team. I love that player. I love Gentry.
Nikki, I can
From
get
head
behind
to
that as
toe.
long as Dallas spends their first round pick on
Shut
Ashton
up,
Gentry.
Mr. Raider. Shut up, Raider.
Sean,
Raider.
give us a score, Sean.
You need a quarterback, so shut up. Shut up, Sean.
I need a lot of things. I need a lot of things.
Give us a score, Sean.
So do we.
I'm gonna take Penn State 28.
Exactly.
To Boise State 24.
You know what? You just
I want Penn State. I want Boise to destroy. Like, I can't even. I want them to, because I love the underdog story. I love, if anyone knows me, I want them to take it to the house.
Well,
I think Gentry is one hell of a player. I think he is.
Nikki, you time traveled. You mentioned Penn State against Florida.
Player.
You guys haven't played each other since 2011. Time traveling.
It doesn't matter, but I think he is that generational player. He is that guy. He's that Barry Sanders. He is that dude. He is that guy.
As good as Ashton Gentry's numbers are, the reason he didn't win the Heisman, obviously, other than Travis Hunter being insanely awesome and playing both positions.
I know.
You know who had comparable numbers that also didn't win the Heisman? Melvin Gordon III with Wisconsin. And Melvin Gordon III had a pretty decent NFL career. So Gentry has some expectations when he hits the league. And do I think he's as good as Saquon Barkley? No. Do I think he's as good as Derrick Henry? No. Do I think he's as good as Christian McCaffrey? No. So,
but I think at this moment in where we're setting in college football, he is that guy. But I do not think he will. But I do not think he will come close to beating Penn State.
All right.
So with the right offensive line, he could be Emmitt Smith.
I was just saying. Hold
up.
Leader, but that's because he had the Great Wall of Dallas.
Hey, hold up. Dr. Balls, we will not. No, he is not Emmitt Smith. It never will be.
Though Emmitt Smith was a great running back undeniably, but without that line, he wouldn't have did what he did. The line had him blocked 7 yards downfield.
He will always be who he is.
He didn't make first contact till he was 4 yards downfield. Most of them, but he was a tough son of a bitch, and I love Emmitt Smith, and he's truly among the greatest that ever lived. But the line that Dallas had at that time was unbelievable, and it's crazy the trouble they got in. What was that one lineman that Dallas had that got caught with like 350 pounds of pot in his car?
Nate
Can I
Newton?
tell you real
They
quick?
do, yeah.
Everyone listening to Smacking Off, the reason my father hates me, like my
Oh boy.
father hates me, is because of Emmitt Smith. My daddy is a Redskin, born, raised in D.C. His family are the Hogs.
That's
And
all right,
because of
Nicky. I'll be your daddy.
Emmett Smith playing for Florida, I became a fucking Cowboys fan. Let me tell you, there is no one that will ever take the golden fucking challenge. There's nothing. There is Emmitt Smith when it
Can
comes
you
to
imagine Barry Sanders
don't
and
ever
head offense
compare.
down?
Emmett Smith would not be in
Never
the Emmett Smith would
compare a
not be in
man
anyone's
to
top 5
Emmitt
of greatest
Smith.
running backs that they would take.
No one will compare.
So
No
let me
one.
go ahead and throw a score out so we can move on to the next game.
Can I just say, fuck yeah, Diego and Vandy.
Woo!
Go Vandy.
Yeah.
So what's your
Anchors
score?
down.
You know,
Hey, it's over.
Injury.
35-27.
They fucking are awesome.
Yeah. So I'm picking a score similar to Sean. I'm going with 27-24 Penn State, but I'm not going to be shocked if Boise pulls some shit here and wins this game.
I would be happy if they would. I would be.
I'm not going to be happy. I don't give a fuck about Boise. I'm just getting that weird feeling.
No, I would be on cloud 9, proud.
That's
if
exactly
they
how I
did
feel,
it,
Doug.
but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. And I just want to say this real quick. I have never partied with anyone better than Penn State fans. They have the greatest fans yeah, they're amazing. I'm going to take a shot for them. I'm just saying.
All right. So how about this Oregon Ohio State game, man? This may be the best game of the whole fucking thing so far. And
I think
I
it's the most
realize
anticipated.
we've seen this game once already. We should have seen it twice, but we've seen it once. And here comes another.
Oregon destroys them.
It's a highly anticipated game. The only game I can think of this year that was highly anticipated as this one was the Texas Georgia rematch. I mean, and the fact that they played Oregon at Oregon and still had a chance in the game. Which Sean, you were there. What did you think would have happened?
I was there. It was man. What a hell of an experience. What a game. Autzen was rocking. Game day was there. And for it to go down, Ohio State didn't have any timeouts, and the quarterback had to scramble, and they ran out of time. Oregon utilized that little loophole, which is no longer a loophole in the way you can
I love
take a
it.
penalty regarding the time.
I love it.
To lose by a point in that environment, I mean, if you haven't been to Autzen Stadium, it is a zoo. When they get rocking, it is louder than some of the bigger places I've been. I think it's going to be a hell of a game in the Rose Bowl. I do. And people go, well, there was a lot of Tennessee fans at the Ohio Stadium last week. I think a lot of those fans are saving their money to go to the Rose Bowl. And this is a kind of albeit Oregon's in the Big Ten now, but this is the old school Big Ten, Pac-12 kind of matchup the Rose Bowl loves in its traditional slot, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock on the West Coast. So when the third quarter is moving into the fourth quarter, the sun is setting over the beautiful San Gabriel Mountains. Not a better scene in college football for a postseason game. This is going to be another war. I think both teams will be ready. I think you're going to see both sides just literally empty the tank in this one. And to be honest, I don't feel it's fair for either of them because they're going to empty the tank in this one, and they're going to get an opponent who might be sort of rested after they empty the tank in this one because this is quickly becoming a new big rivalry here in the Big Ten because Oregon and Ohio State have proven in the offseason they're not afraid to spend some money to get players. So this should be the best game of this coming round of the playoffs.
Oregon only beat them for the first time like
two or three years ago. Yeah, yes. in the shoe, the Kayvon Thibodeau game.
But since then, I mean, it's been all Oregon, hasn't it?
I think they've won
Oregon.
2 more times. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I
Here we
You
go,
good?
Jim. Here we go. Jim. Tony.
Jason, how do you feel about this game?
How the hell do I top that? I don't know. I got to set a game up now. Okay, so when I was thinking about this game, I always think about, every time that you've seen a movie, like even go back to Nightmare on Elm Street or even the Rocky movies, where like the first installment of the series was good, and then it gets you excited for the second sequel that's about to come, and sometimes
that's like
it hits
Texas
really.
and fucking Georgia. Come on.
I'm getting there.
I know.
Sometimes it hits, and then sometimes it's a big dud. We already saw it with Georgia and Texas, and now with Ohio State, Oregon, it's interesting because now Oregon has had a pretty decent layover since the Big Ten championship game, where Ohio State is coming off of the high of basically taking the Tennessee Troll and putting the flagpole right where the sun don't shine. So they're going off the high of that. And the first matchup was a great one in Austin. Now, I don't know if how Pasadena will be compared to Austin, which, by the way, is one of my bucket list places to go anyways.
You got to go, Jason.
Too.
You got to go, man. You got to go.
They're fighting for one. They're fighting for a day. That's it.
So Jason, can I answer your movie reference? You want to know, is this going to be Godfather 2 or The Hangover 2?
Well,
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. I actually like that. That hits it spot on. Is it going to be The Godfather 2 or is it going to be The Hangover 2, where you're like, Hangover was great, then you look at number 2 and you're kind of like,
but let's look at the players.
Not as good as the first one.
Not as good as the first one. All they did was change the location.
Pretty much. That's pretty much
so
it.
maybe like Star Wars, where The Empire Strikes Back is the greatest movie ever made, right?
I hate Ohio State.
But here,
Citizen Kane, Empire Strikes Back.
What the hell have I just started here? But anyways, this one's going to be one in this one's going to be one in the trenches. It's going to come down to the defensive line, offensive line on both sides, because both of them are effective on both sides of the ball when those sides are on. The offensive line for Oregon, offensive line for Ohio State, which has had some questions, but it looks like they may have answered them against the Tennessee defense that's actually pretty decent. Oregon, I think they wanted to do a lot better than they did in the last time, so I think that defensive line, that front seven, is going to be a lot more motivated. I'm leaning towards the Buckeyes on this one. I think that the Buckeyes, after just slapping the SEC around and beating their chest about it, they're ready to get more revenge when it comes to Oregon, so they may be living off the high a little bit, and Oregon may not be expecting it coming in. They may get punched in the mouth at first, and we find out how long Oregon shakes it off before they get their senses back. But I lean towards the Buckeyes.
You mentioned a group, Jason, that I think that is getting disrespected, and I think we can use Ed as a bit of a bellwether on this. Is a lot of, even though they're new to the Big Ten, they still feel like they're part of the Pac-12. The group that doesn't get a lot of respect, and it was obvious in the Joe Moore Award, is the Oregon offensive line. People still seem to think they're a soft West Coast kind of offensive line when they are really not.
I really wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that they're soft, but maybe some people would say that maybe they have not been as battle tested, maybe as some, which I think you can halfway make the argument for that. But it's a very, very solid O-line, and on the other side, you've got a Ohio State defensive line in the front seven that seem to have finally found their way after the matchup with Tennessee.
I said Ed's the bellwether. Ed has watched his Michigan Wolverines lose at home to Oregon and then go to the shoe and frankly kick butt in the shoe. I have to give him credit for that. Ed, which O line do you like better, having seen both very intimately?
I like Oregon's offensive line more, but I'm picking the Buckeyes.
Ed's picking a Buckeye. I don't sound the alarm. Let the nation know.
In another classic, I got the Buckeyes 34-30.
Well, we got Ed's perspective. Jason, you're taking you said you like the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I think it'll be the Buckeyes in this one, and I'm going to go 30. I'm going to go more of the 30-27. I think it's going to come. It's going to come down to a one-score game, kind of like the last one, but this time the Buckeyes will be the ones that are on top, because I think after that Tennessee game, I felt like they needed it after the loss to Michigan to really, really kind of find their groove, and really, because that game against Tennessee, that's the Ohio State team I've been expecting to see all season, and I saw it that night, and I'm looking for them to do it again when they face Oregon.
I'll tell you the one thing the Buckeyes don't want this to come down to is the field goal kicking contest. That kid for Ohio State still scares me. He makes me nervous. I think he missed one kind of badly against Tennessee. Finally made one, I think, as well. But
special teams could play a factor in this too. It could.
I think this is going to be, again, a nail biter. I kind of tend to agree with you and Ed. Give me Ohio State, and we're going to get I'm calling it, we're going to get great weather in the Rose Bowl, perfect weather. We're going to get a shootout between, Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard. Give me Ohio State 44, Oregon 42.
Damn. That'd be very entertaining. I'd actually like to see that.
And the key group that we're going to watch really just
Me
go
too,
off
Dr.
for both
Boss.
teams
Me too.
is I'm excited to watch both wide receiver groups for both teams. I think that those two groups will be the shining stars of this game.
Will Howard stepped it up a little bit, passing wise.
That
and
one
I think
throw he made to Smith wow, what a dime. What a dime.
Yeah, he had real heat on that, and it went to the right spot. It was catchable, though. I mean, there's a difference between throwing the ball hard and throwing it catchable and putting it in a position where your guy's the guy that can get it. And I agree, Sean, that was an excellent throw.
He dropped that one in a bucket, and the Tennessee defender was on the wide receiver. I can't fault Tennessee DB. He was there, but Howard made a hell of a throw.
Fuck them.
A lot of teams are afraid to take shots like that. They have to have confidence in their wide receivers that they can win that battle, because then if the DB is competent and is playing the right coverage, they both kind of have a shot at it. So it's about positioning. You want to throw to people you have confidence in, and I believe Ohio State has that. But we're going to have some guys too. And to your point, Dan Lanning is kind of coaches offensive line minded, and I think it's going to serve him well. And
make no mistake. If people are saying Ohio State has the best wide receiving core in the country, Oregon's isn't that far behind, or vice versa, depending on who you pick your poison. Because Oregon's got some wide receivers that are just incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible.
But Ohio State's not going to be able to they're not going to be able to, like you say, use their 4-down lineman or 3 or whatever set they're in to get pressure on the quarterback on a consistent basis. They're going to have to bring guys, and I believe Gabriel's the kind of guy that can see that. If you bring the linebacker or the slot guy or any combination of that, he's going to see it and find the right guy.
That was where Penn State had the success in the Big Ten championship game, was when they brought the 5th guy or the 6th guy on some of those drives to stop Oregon. When they were in base, Dylan Gabriel was picking them apart.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think, and really, when you look at the receiving cores for both Ohio State and Oregon, as talented as both of their secondaries are for both teams, it makes them very, very susceptible. So that makes it very important, because what's the best way to stop an air attack when you have
There's
talent?
No chance in hell.
You got to get pressure on the quarterback, because you're not going to stop these receivers running their routes.
You have to get the pass. You got to establish a pass rush to not be able to turn this into a track meet, which it has the potential to do if both O lines hold up.
No
That's
chance
why I
in
went with
hell.
and Jason read my mind. That's why I went with the
No
score that I
chance in
did,
hell.
because I don't think either team is going to get a very successful pass rush most of the day. So I think this could turn into I really think it's going to turn into a track meet, and I think it's going to be the team that has the ball last.
Now, you don't think there's any chance that one of the teams
No chance in hell.
might play like a soft zone all the time in order to see if the
You don't
team
want to
makes
play
it?
a
In other words,
soft zone against either of these teams. That would be a terrible decision to make, because they
Yeah.
don't even need to. They don't need to throw timing routes at that point. If you play a soft zone, just have a receiver sit somewhere in the zone, and Howard and Gabriel can find that receiver sitting in the zone. That's 15 yards each time. So
Well, and
I mean,
also
that's death. That's death by 1,000 cuts.
and also with a soft zone, that just sets up a possibility of running game. And if the O line is on, you can gash them on the ground.
Yeah, we did.
Oh yes.
We saw the reemergence in the Tennessee game of where was he in the Michigan game? Our guy Quinshon Judkins. Welcome back to football,
Nikki.
Negative.
You're here You're here in two slots. Look at the screen, guys.
I was going to say
twice.
she's double drunk. That's what she is. That's what she is.
Yes, I got big old titties.
So let me go out on a limb on this game, and I'm just going to say this: Ohio State's going to win by 2 touchdowns, but 34-20. 34-20. You heard it here first. Ohio State is they're on fire right now. They're going to fuck it up. Day will fuck this up at some point. And I realize we got a few games left, but they're going to win this game. The loser always has in my experience, the loser typically has the advantage in the rematch. And I'd say Ohio State knows what they need to do, and Oregon probably don't know what they need to do at this point.
Who do y'all think's the better quarterback, Gabriel or Ohio State?
Gabriel is the better.
Dylan Gabriel is better than Will Howard, no doubt.
Yeah, I think he is too. But I think as a unit, I think as a unit, Ohio State.
So
I think they're kicking themselves in the ass for the loss
what
at
Doug
Oregon.
is saying is that Ohio State, they took some time. They went to Los Angeles. They ran on the beach with Apollo Creed, and this time they're going to take out Clubber Lang.
Right.
I think Dylan Gabriel, as far as more pass accuracy, I think has the advantage. Will Howard, I think, is a little inefficient at times, but the fact when you have 2 5-star NFL caliber receivers, they can make up for a lot of mistakes.
Absolutely.
Jason, let's go and get your dog to chime in on this one.
Watson.
Who do you
Watson,
like?
you want to talk now? You want to talk?
Oregon or Ohio State?
Oregon or Ohio State, Watson. Not you, Kobe. Not you. Not you. I have 2 dogs in here. 2 of them.
Hell yeah.
We love the puppers. Yeah.
All right. Did everybody pick on this one?
No,
yeah, I think we did.
I didn't pick that.
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry,
Go
Dr.
ahead. You're just
Dr. Ball.
you're only the
I thought
host,
you did.
Bob. You don't need to pick on this shit.
No, why would I do that? I've got Ohio State 34-30, guys. I believe Ohio State
That's
is
exactly
going to
my
overcome.
score.
Oh,
I mean, that's similar to my score. Mine's 34-20.
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just got this weird feeling that after this game, everybody's going to think Ohio State's going to win it all. I still don't think they are.
And I hate that, it's not recency bias. I mean, it was, it's 2 months ago, but having been there, it felt like Oregon had to throw literally everything and the kitchen sink in at home to beat Ohio State. And I think, I'm not saying Ohio State wasn't fully invested. They certainly were. But I think kind of in the back of their minds, they did not anticipate losing at home to Michigan. And they would have gotten this chance for redemption in the Big Ten championship game. And that obviously went amok or awry when, they lost to Michigan 13-10, which I think we're all still kind of scratching our head on. Maybe all of us except Ed. But
Ed's not. Ed knew that shit was coming.
Ed probably knew it, weeks in advance.
Ed's gone, isn't he?
Are you talking
No,
about
Ed's
the
here.
Michigan game? I did not expect that.
You did not. Okay, so I did not even Ed expected that. And
Wait, hold up. Did Nikki pass out?
She's left us.
God damn it.
She's
God
gone
damn
on a
it, Ed.
journey, Doug. A journey that we
No, I
cannot
wasn't
accompany
pointing.
her with.
I was not pointing out her what seemingly ample bosom. I was. It was just all the antics, that I was pointing out. I was like, she's so funny, right? But since she put it out like that, I couldn't help but notice.
And to our friends in the rock band Ample Bosom, shout out.
But one thing that Doug said is correct. Ohio State, whoever wins this game will have their hands full when they likely face Texas. They will have
Texas.
All right, so
They'll
how about
have
these?
their
Texas gets by their opponent, which I think is our next game, is it not?
Say what now?
That's assuming Texas gets by their opponent, which I think is the next game we're going to talk about.
They will.
Oh yeah, I believe we're lining it up right now against Arizona.
Let me see if I can get. Let me see if I can get Austin in here. Austin Parrish.
That is what you call a segue.
Yeah, I think that he was supposed to be on tonight anyway.
Jason, I tried.
Yeah, he tried to slip us into it, but I didn't notice the graphic was up, guys. So thanks for covering my ass there. But I mean, this is a very interesting game, and Arizona State showed some heart at the end of the season in a tough Big 12. I don't know if they were underrated, but they had more teams that were good than they had bad. The delineation between teams, in my opinion, in the Big 12 was a whole lot closer. It was more like the NFC East in the 90s, and the teams just beat each other up. And it was hard to say that one of any of the top three teams was a whole lot better than the other. But they emerged out of that, and I think it was tough. And they may have opportunity to beat Texas, but on paper, I think Texas is going to crush them. What do you think, Jason?
Well, I guess I'll start it off. Let me first off say that I've loved watching Arizona State this season, and what the job that Kenny Dillingham has done with that program in such a quick time has been nothing but tremendous. Cam Scatabo, I call the mini version of Mike Allstott, or fun size Mike Allstott. He's been incredible to watch, and in that Big 12 championship game, just took over the game. Like, he has the capability of taking over a game for Arizona State on the offensive side. But on the other side, there's a Texas defense that's pretty damn good, and they have some dudes. They have some 5-star thoroughbreds that are on that roster. So what it's going to come down to, it's almost maybe identical a little bit to Boise State and Penn State. Are they going to try to load the box to contain Scatabo and make Sam Levitt win the game for Arizona State rather than Cam Scatabo? And then on the offensive side, this is going to be, or for the defensive side of Arizona State, this Texas offense, it looks like they're starting to find their rhythm a little bit with that game against Clemson, where it was kind of up in the air with Quinn Ewers' injury and the back and forth with him and Arch Manning. Because of that injury, it looks like they may be trying, which their running back room is has been a mash unit all season, and Texas is almost like they haven't missed a beat all year. As much as I would love to see Arizona State make this respectable, to make this close, to make this entertaining, I don't have that much confidence. And that I think that Scatabo will break a couple of runs here and there, but that may be about it. He might get 100 in this game, which would still be impressive. But I just feel like the Horns are probably just going to run through this one. It's probably going to be, it could be 35-10, 42-10. It could get pretty bad.
Yeah, I got 34-14 Texas.
Sean?
Yeah, I think Jason highlights a lot of things. if I had more, if and the ifs and buts and candy and nuts, et cetera, but for the sake of the show and the sake of discussion, if I had more confidence in Arizona State's quarterback, if he could play like, and let's tip our caps to Cade Klubnik last week, because without Cade Klubnik, Clemson is, a rudderless ship that is getting bombed unmercilessly. And Cade Klubnik played like we always expected him to as a 5-star out of high school. Cade Klubnik played his tail off last week against Texas. I know Clemson didn't win the game, but if we're comparing in that game, Quinn Ewers against Cade Klubnik, Klubnik was the better quarterback. Texas was the better team. Klubnik was the better quarterback. Here's the problem for Arizona State. They don't have that. And the thing that they do well is the thing that Texas does really well against on defense, which is stopping the run. And so I kind of agree with Jason. I think this one's going to get out of hand quick unless I don't, I'm missing something here. And Arizona State's quarterback, who his name is escaping me, and I apologize to the young man. That's
Sam
on
Levitt.
me. Sam Levitt. I haven't seen him really, light up the scoreboard with his arm. I mean, can he do a few things? Sure, he can. But do I think he's as good as Cade Klubnik? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I think Arizona State has a receiver of the caliber of Bryant Westco? Absolutely not. It's Westco, another tip of the cap. Man, he worked the Thorpe Award winner Johnny Barron a couple of times in that game. Let's be frank on that. Clemson's own fault was Dabo Swinney being dumb when you got the ball at the 1 yard line, 2 yard line, and you decide, let's run a play that goes right against the heart of the Texas defense. That's really, really stupid when you got to attack the edges, because that's where Texas's defense is weak. No, we're going to run it in a inverted bone right at the middle of the Texas line. That's really, really dumb. So I think Arizona State will game plan better than Dabo did about attacking the weaknesses of Texas's defense. But the simple fact of the matter is, other than maybe Ohio State and Georgia, tell me a roster that's better and spent more money on, and maybe Oregon, than Texas. I mean, in the offseason, their recruiting day featured, 15 Lamborghinis lined up outside of their football facility. So Texas can spend the money and get the players, and they got the players. And I'm going to actually be at this game. I'm going to be at the Peach Bowl. I'm knocking out my 4th different New Year's Six game. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be rooting for Arizona State because, I love underdogs. It's similar to like March Madness. I love underdogs. But do I expect this to be really a game? No, I got Texas 38, Arizona State 20, and, you call it good.
And the one thing I will add to that doesn't give me a lot of confidence in Arizona State is the injury to wide receiver Jordan Tyson, who looks like he's out for the season. He had the injury, I think, like right before the Big 12 championship game against Arizona, which put him in a bit, because I feel like if Jordan Tyson would give them a pretty decent air attack if he was healthy, but the fact that he's not being there, does that really give me a lot of confidence with Sam Levitt going up against that kind of defense? Because this may be the best defense that Arizona State's going to face all year, and they may just get shell-shocked right from the gate.
I do want to throw a quick. I know we're running out of time. Doug's got to get to bed. It's late on a Friday.
No. I'm fine. Y'all go ahead.
But I just wanted to proffer a real quick question to the group. We've been talking. What is the worst of the power conferences? And I'll throw this. I personally feel, even though Clemson played Texas very well last week in Texas, and I'm looking at these other bowl games. I know some people don't care about them. I particularly like to watch all the dumpy bowls. I like them. They're fun. I watched them today. I'm watching it right now. Arkansas is killing Texas Tech. But people are saying the Big 12 is the worst conference. I personally think the ACC has been the worst conference.
You're right.
I'm with you, Sean.
I think the Big 12 would beat the ACC if they were to play, your number one versus number one, number two versus number two, all the way down the line. Am I out of line in saying that, or what do you guys think?
No, I
No, especially in the middle of the Big 12, there's no contest whatsoever, and the top teams are at least on par. And I think Clemson and Miami were better than any teams, and we're close to being better teams than any in the Big 12, but the rest of them kills them.
And I don't think, and I hate to tell you this, Dr. Balls, because I know you're Kentucky's your number one team. That's the team that you hold close to your heart. But on your sleeve, you wear that U of the Hurricanes a little bit, don't you?
Oh yeah, but they
really
not
weren't a 10-2 team this year. They were really an 8-4 team with some help from officials and the Cal Bears just somehow laying down in the second half. But that was really an 8-4 Hurricanes team, not really a 10-2 team. I think the top tier of the Big 12 on a neutral field beats the top tier of the ACC, other than Clemson. I think Clemson is still sort of not, they're not at their zenith, the 2016 to 2018 Clemson, but there's still enough there where, yeah, Clemson would probably beat whoever the top of the Big 12 is. Arizona State, I think they'd beat them because Klubnik, quarterback, is always a difference maker in all levels of football. But if you go top to bottom, I'd be hard pressed to say that the Big 12 wouldn't probably beat the ACC.
Okay, I'm going to come to the I'm going to come to the ACC's defense on this one because I look at the top of the Big 12 right now with Arizona State, who came out of nowhere. They were picked 16th to win the conference in the preseason. And then you have BYU, who got an incredible win over Kansas State, caused a Kansas State fan to shove a burrito up his ass.
Let's hold on real quick. Let's look at who was picked to win.
Hold on now. Hold on. I didn't hear about a burrito getting shoved up somebody's ass.
Yes, there was a Kansas State fan had to shove a burrito up his ass because he said if BYU would beat Kansas State, he would shove a 5-layer burrito up his ass. And he did it. And he did it.
Wow.
That's only happening. That's only happening in 2024.
All the pundits, and I'll include myself as a pundit, picked Oklahoma State to make the Big 12 title game, and we all looked like a horse's ass.
Yes.
And I'd include our guy Phil Steele in that because I think
Sean, you know who I picked?
Go ahead.
Arizona State.
You had Arizona. You did.
I did, but I was being funny. I was being funny though. God damn it! I mean, I can only prove it if Nikki was here and she was coherent. But
I remember our show, our preseason conference selections.
But I swear to God, I asked y'all. I said, "Who's the new teams?" And y'all told me. And I said, "I'm going with Arizona State."
You pulled the best straw out of all the straws when we were picking straws.
Yeah, but I swear to God,
I picked Oklahoma
there was
State,
no
so
thought put into it. There was no thought put into it. I love that little devil dude. So
I picked Oklahoma State, and I look like a horse's ass. So it is what it is.
But I look at the top 14.
What happened with their coach, Oklahoma State? Did they get him out?
So far,
he took the pay cut.
Still there. He's still there, right?
He took the pay cut.
Okay.
Yeah, he took the pay cut.
They're not. But, he's sort of Oklahoma royalty. His family.
Oklahoma royalty?
Because his brother played at Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right, Kel Gundy.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jason.
Well, you talk about the Big 12. The top tier is Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, and then after that you have Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and we're seeing what Arkansas is doing to Texas Tech right now. But when I look over at the ACC, you have SMU, one win away from winning a conference, which they lost the close one to BYU, so I'll give you that one. But Clemson, Miami, one win away from being in the playoff and was considered one of the top tier. But I don't think that a lot of respect gets given to Syracuse because Kyle McCord, what he has done. But they finished 9. They did finish 9-3 in the regular season, and they did get the upset win over Miami. But Kyle McCord and what Fran Brown did there in a year's time, what he turned around that program, because that was a program that was in the dumps.
Oh,
and Louisville,
they saved you, Jason. They came back. They're winning right now. 35-21.
And Louisville
damn good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, they showed that they can compete, that they could compete with some of these teams, and then Duke, and then after that you have Virginia Tech, BC, which had a run for a little bit, fizzled out. Pitt fizzled out. NC State was a
Pitt lost to
disappointment.
Toledo, by the way. Pitt lost to Toledo.
Yeah, well,
so did Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi State, but they did lose. They did lose to everybody, it seemed. So I can't. I'm not really feeling like the Big because Colorado. If Colorado just would have halfway showed up against Kansas, they would have been in that Big 12 championship game. They would probably be in the playoff.
Or Nebraska.
Yeah, and they got absolutely wrecked by Nebraska. You're absolutely right. So
I'm shouting out to the pundits who seem to think that the Big 12 is so far behind the ACC. I don't think that's the case. I think
not at all.
I think if they played head to head.
I don't think it's that. Yeah, it's not far that they're far behind, but I'm not ready to concede that the Big 12 is better than the ACC. I'm not ready to concede
and the other thing is, let's not forget how many pundits thought a retooled Florida State would do something this year. And what did Florida State do? I mean, you talk about the ultimate shit the bed. I mean, this is the worst in the history of college football. The worst season for a program following a undefeated regular season in the previous year. In the history of college football, that goes all the way back to 1869. Fun fact.
Yeah. And I blame the fan who didn't eat the dog shit after they lost to Boston College.
Well, we're still waiting on one of our former contributors to drink that piss, but that's another story for another day.
Tell me that one later.
He went from the old
guys. Is that all the games, Sean?
No, we got one more game, Doug.
I had to do that, Sean.
By the way, you know who his new bandwagon is, right?
Who's that?
Diggy?
No, Pike.
Oh,
Pike.
Yeah, I seen it today.
Penn State guy now. Penn State guy.
Oh, he's Penn State guy. Oh.
No, he was on Tennessee's balls, but there ain't no balls left.
He posted today. Penn State's going to win the national title, or else he might. Nah, he ain't going to drink nothing.
I seen it, and you laughed at him, and I did too. So.
Well, hopefully he's back then from his Bermuda vacation or wherever
he is. That was so fake, dude.
I know. You and I knew.
He went down there and it's like I moved to Dominican Republic. I think he was on a cruise.
He said he got robbed.
That dude was just drunk on a Carnival cruise ship. That's all it was.
But anyway, man, I think this is an important game because I really believe the winner of this game plays the winner of. I think the winner of this game plays Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest.
Definitely. And, there's just a lot of, because the quarterback injury at Georgia, they're going to have to play this very conservative, or at least Georgia is.
Let me go ahead and clarify, though. They don't play Texas next game, but they ultimately play Texas.
So you're figuring the winner of this game gets by the next game, and Texas gets by the winner of Oregon, Ohio State. And okay.
That's my thought.
Okay.
I kind of see it happening that way too. And nobody. I don't know if anybody wants a third game between Georgia and Texas. And this is Notre Dame's opportunity for me, guys, because the quarterback is out at Georgia. This guy right here that they have, he can run the team, but he's not spectacular. They're not really sure of how well he can pass the ball, and he's shown that he's somewhat turnover prone. He needs to have better ball security. Georgia's going to have to play very conservative. It might be a low scoring affair, but this is a opportunity for Notre Dame. And really, truth be told, I don't know how to pick this because I also believe that Georgia has enough horses in a conservative game to beat Notre Dame, right? Even without Beck. So I think it all comes down to coaching and what Notre Dame does. And if they can make the same kind of dominant offensive line showing that they have in the latter half of the season, or the latter 7/8 of the season, you might as well say. And so I don't know, Sean, where are you at on it?
The University of Georgia and the University of Notre Dame have played 3 games in their history. Georgia's won all 3. Absolutely take your hat off. They've won by a total of 14 points. So every game has been absolute total warfare. The first meeting was the 1980 Sugar Bowl before my time, but my mother and my father were at the game. It was the Sugar Bowl. It was Notre Dame head coach Dan Devine's last game. Georgia with Herschel Walker defeated Blair Keel of Notre Dame 17-10. I was at both of the home and home games in 17 and 19. 2017, Georgia visited South Bend. It was the famed Bulldog takeover of Notre Dame Stadium. Not really. I've seen worse, which was 2001 Nebraska, but it was close. It was a close second. People fail to remember that the Braves were playing the Cubs that entire weekend in Chicago, which Chicago's an hour and a half away. And on Sunday, the Falcons were playing the Bears in Chicago. So it was a great weekend for all Georgia sports fans to get up to the Midwest. But Georgia won that game by a point, 20-19, on a hell of a catch in the end zone, which secured the victory. And then I was down in Athens in 19 when Georgia won 23-17. The last gasp attempt by Ian Book was intercepted as Notre Dame was driving with the clock running out. So they've been warped, and there's a great respect between both fan bases. I enjoyed all the Georgia fans in South Bend when they came up, and they reciprocated when we went down to Athens. We had a great time with all of them. So there's a lot of pride, a lot of respect between the programs, and it's funny we now meet again in the Sugar Bowl as we met it, the initial time in 1980. On paper, Georgia should win this by 10. They've recruited a top 4 class, seems every year since 2018.
Yep.
And Notre Dame's averaging around 8 to 12 in those respective years. It will take a absolute perfect game for Notre Dame to beat Georgia. I know they're down to Gunnar Stockton, their backup quarterback, but across the board, generally at every position, Georgia is better than Notre Dame. At this point, with them being at Gunnar Stockton, it's his second game. You'd call it even at the quarterback position, but we've seen enough mistakes this year by Riley Leonard to say, well, that's not Joe Montana that's running out of the tunnel. That's Riley Leonard. Good kid, smart kid, fun kid. I'm glad he's here after, transferring from Duke. He's done the things he's been asked to do. He runs well. If they can, and so the assumption is, well, they'll run a game plan similar to Haynes King, Georgia Tech ran. Well, I think Georgia's keen to that now. So I don't think that's really the game plan you kind of want to run. I don't think you can throw the ball as well as Quinn Ewers. I don't think Notre Dame can pass protect as well as Texas can. I just don't see a way that Notre Dame can win this game unless they can truly run the ball with their 2 tailbacks. And Georgia is very stout against the run. Nobody's really run against Georgia. Even Texas, who has a hell of an offensive line, really struggled to run the ball against Georgia. The Sugar Bowl is probably going to be a 70-30 Georgia pro crowd. So I have Georgia winning this game. And I don't think that's a knock on Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's made leaps and bounds in Marcus Freeman's 3rd year there. But I don't think this is their time. I think Kirby Smart is establishing himself as the guy now that Saban's gone. I think Georgia wins this game.
What do you got on it, Jason?
Well, I imagine that if you ever dabbled into World Star Hip Hop when they had the viral videos of the Waffle House brawls at 2:00 in the morning, I feel like this game is going to be like that. For Notre Dame's side, the key is going to be, as he brought up earlier, it's going to be the defensive side. Defensive coordinator Al Golden has had a hell of a task within the last couple of weeks, because now You don't have Carson Beck as the quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs, and you have limited film on a quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. And the one thing that gets me for this one, if Gunnar Stockton somehow, and we've seen this happen on many occasions throughout college football history. Anybody remember the day that Johnny Manziel found God mode in Tuscaloosa back in 2012? I think we all remember that. Is Gunnar Stockton?
I don't remember it, Jason.
You know? Okay. All right. Flash the thing from Men in Black, and we move on.
That's what helps Johnny Manziel steal the Heisman from Manti Te'o. Which, fun fact, Manti Te'o had a longer NFL career than Johnny Manziel. Sniff, sniff.
But now going back to this game, does Gunnar Stockton find God mode? And if he does, Notre Dame is going to be in a lot of trouble. I know they've suffered a couple of injuries on the defensive line. I believe their freshman Bryce Young got a little bit banged up. I think he may be out for this game.
Just one.
Just one. Okay, just one.
Senior defensive end Riley Mills will not be available. Bryce Young, son of NFL Hall of Famer Bryant Young, is available. It's just Riley Mills, who we saw get dinged up against Indiana. He's got a knee. He's done for the year.
Okay. Still might affect the depth a little bit, especially in a physical battle like that, but it's not the end of the world for Notre Dame. Al Golden has now got the challenge to prepare a defense that's not familiar with what Gunnar Stockton can capably do. That's a challenge for any defensive coordinator when you don't have a lot of film on a kid and you don't have all the tendencies that he may present. Now on Georgia's side, it's going to be stopping Jeremiah Love. You stop Jeremiah Love, you make Riley Leonard one-dimensional because he's a throwing quarterback, he's a running quarterback, and they like to do quarterback draws with him. But that doesn't really become effective if you stop Jeremiah Love. It doesn't become as effective. You make Riley Leonard try to win the game through the air. That's going to be the key for Georgia's defense. If they stop Jeremiah Love, then they have a chance to conservatively on offense be able to get by in this game. And then on the other side, the defense with Al Golden trying to prepare for Gunnar Stockton, who knows, could potentially find God mode. I'm going to lean more towards Georgia on this one, but I think that Notre Dame is going to make this one ultra competitive. It's going to be an ugly slugfest like most Georgia-Notre Dame matchups have been the last, I think, 2 times it's been that way. I think this is going to repeat itself again. I'm going to go Dogs 23-17.
Hell yeah.
I think Jason's absolutely correct. I think he's absolutely correct. I will say,
for me, the biggest key to this game is how does Notre Dame handle adversity? Because when you play Georgia, you face adversity. I don't completely agree with Sean. I think Notre Dame can match them physically. People trash Carson.
I will believe that, Ed, if we can run the ball. If we cannot run the ball, it's going to be a long, long night for Notre Dame because the one thing we cannot do is stretch the field vertically. I hate to channel my inner Al Davis as much as you, but we want to stretch the field vertically. It's like having the bomb and being willing to drop it. You know, I want to be able to know that I can throw the ball on a 40-yard go route and hit somebody. And right now, with the wide receivers Notre Dame has, that's not even an option. That is not an option.
That's fair, but Notre Dame has to be smart enough to not give up on the run too early because it'll probably be tough to run it early. All right?
Oh, for sure.
Now, we don't know much about Stockton. He was okay in the Texas game. I mean, technically, he led them to a victory. He completed 75% of his passes. They were safe passes, and he threw a pick.
The thing I saw about him that I got to give him credit for is he took a shot from a Texas defender, and he stayed in the game. That kid's a tough kid. He's a tough kid.
Very. Didn't he get up and look at him too?
Yeah, he was like, "Is that the best you can do? All right, let's go. Let's ball."
Now,
the way I see this kid is he reminds me of Stetson Bennett. So I think obviously I think his ceiling is higher than Stetson Bennett's was. So, but I think Stetson Bennett at his ceiling, right, is
Dr.
just a
Balls, don't do
bare
that.
notch.
Don't wish that bad of an NFL career on this kid. He hasn't even gotten started yet.
Well, that's why I said his ceiling is high. But right now, if you were to measure him ceiling wise against Stetson Bennett, I believe he's already right there for the style of play that he can play. And Georgia won 2 national championships with Stetson Bennett. So I'm going to have to say that I think that what you said, Sean, is really the key to the game. If you're Kirby Smart, you're going to coach to make Riley Leonard win or lose the game. And if you do that, and all he has to do is execute and keep the clock running. If you're Georgia with their backup quarterback in the game, if you do that, then Georgia wins. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points scored. I still believe Notre Dame's safeties are top notch, so I'm thinking maybe like 24-20.
I'm going. I got Georgia 20, Notre Dame 17.
So I think Georgia's probably a little better on paper. And I realized that Georgia's won the last few times that these teams have played, and I feel like Notre Dame is due. It's not going to shock me if Georgia pulls this game out, but give me the Irish 23-20. I'm going with the Irish.
Crazy.
Oh yeah, I want the Irish to win.
And
I mean, I'd love to see it.
I don't think it's far fetched. I think that we can see this happen.
Listen, Doug,
like I said, it's not going to blow me away if Georgia finds a way to win this game, but I think the Irish is due in this series.
I want you to understand something. You go to that other sideline, you go to that locker room, you talk to that coach right now. You talk to him right now. There's one team that he doesn't want to play. Starts right here with Georgia. Go Dogs.
All right, look, so here's the deal. I'm predicting that the Notre Dame quarterback, Leonard Riley, it's Leonard Riley, not Riley Leonard, right?
No, it's Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard is the difference with his legs. Notre Dame 20, Georgia 17.
Wow.
Ed, you're doing that on spite, just to spite me. You're doing it.
He's trying to jinx you, isn't he, Sean?
He really is. He's trying
to jinx me. Notre Dame is not going to lose the game because I picked them.
Now there's implications. There's implications
I don't know, Ed.
There's implications for the future of college football in this game as well. Now Notre Dame, we don't want to put more pressure on them, but if Notre Dame wins out and wins or competes for the national championship, then it pretty much guarantees them a slot as a top tier seed every year, whether they're an independent or not. Because I think some of the conference commissioners would love to knock Notre Dame down a notch in terms of seeding in the future through their influence, because part of their conferences.
It depends on the conference commissioners you're talking about, because I mean, when this playoff thing came about, surprisingly, unless you look at the interwebs and social media with all the SEC people, Notre Dame needs to join a conference. They got to play a conference. You know who were staunch allies in bringing us? First off, the 4-team playoff, and now the 12-team playoff. But Greg Sankey and former Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick were in lockstep with each other, and they were allies together. And the other thing they were allies in, along with the ACC and the Big 12 during the COVID year, was playing the games during the COVID year. Jack Swarbrick of Notre Dame, the ACC's commissioner, who's escaping me at this point in time. Jason probably knows. But Greg Sankey, we're going to play. The only two that didn't want to play
Jim Swofford
was the ACC commissioner, Swofford. Thank you. Yeah, Swofford. You're right. Yeah. Everybody wanted to play except the Big 10 and the Pac-12. The one thing that pushed the ACC over the kind of the finish line was Notre Dame saying we'll be a full member in the ACC during the COVID year. And so we had games, And the other thing about going to this playoff, was Notre Dame and Jack Swarbrick, along with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, So the SEC and Notre Dame actually have a mutual beneficial relationship at that level. Now, at the lower level, where it comes to the fans go, well, Notre Dame going to play a conference championship game, so they shouldn't be in the playoff. Well, everyone knows, if you're being logical, Notre Dame would join the ACC, and in the 1 year they did that, they were already in the ACC championship game. They lost to a very good Trevor Lawrence Clemson team, but the fact is they would get there, every 3 years out of 4. I don't think that's debatable, because all you have to do is look at Notre Dame's record against the ACC.
Well, Notre Dame has scheduled well too, Sean. They've scheduled well, and that's the way for them to continually guarantee their spot in playoffs.
That was Notre Dame's playing Texas A&M in their building this year. They don't have a chance. They win by 10. Texas A&M comes to South Bend next year. That should be a great game. Notre Dame visits Arkansas next year in Fayetteville. That should be a great game. I think they have a home and home with Texas coming up, and then after that, a home and home with Alabama.
Speaking of a home and home with Texas, Sean, the money
Yeah.
people are going to love a Notre Dame Texas national championship game, right?
Oh yeah.
As much as I love it, I hope you're right, Doug. But I have.
Well, no, I'm definitely right. They would definitely love it if it happens.
They certainly the media would love it. I mean, the ESPN would love it. They got the national championship game, but personally, I think Georgia wins this game, and I have them. I don't
know if the money
Ohio.
people are going to be as excited about Georgia and Texas.
Well, I don't think it's Georgia, Texas. I'll be honest. I think it's going to be Georgia and Ohio State, and we saw how great that game was. 2 years ago?
It's not gonna shock me, but I don't know. I've gone with Texas, and I'm sticking with it. God damn it!
But I mean, you're talking about if you got Georgia, you got Texas, you got Ohio State, you got Oregon. What is the one common denominator between all of them? These are the programs that are spending the most money, and they're allowed to. The rules of the road right now, they're allowed to spend as much money as they want on NIL and transfer portal.
Yep.
They've got the best rosters. So, we're ultimately going to get back to kind of where we started, regardless of 14 playoff, 18 playoff, 12 team, even if we had a 16 team playoff, the roster, the 85 man, which soon in April, because of litigation in Congress, Supreme Court, we're going to the 105 man roster, which Kirby has complained about because he can't have 50 walk-ons on his team. But, if you're able to get the best players, you're going to win. And that's just the bottom line. At college level, the NFL is certainly a different animal all to its own. But if you have the best Jimmys and Joes, I don't care if you're Vince Lombardi with the best X's and O's, the best players are going to win the game.
And that's why Michigan's spending all the money.
Exactly. I mean,
Ed, give us a parting shot before we
hell yeah.
Before we end this. Give us hell yeah is your parting shot.
Well, we're talking. We haven't even talked about the biggest game, Doug. The biggest game of them all is the
okay.
Dr.
God
Ball,
damn it! Let me pull it up. Hold up.
The Life Championship. Come on.
I've got
You buried the lead, Doug.
I've got a graphic. Let's pull it up.
Alabama versus Michigan getting in the bowl to end all bowls. Loser takes all for the Life Championship.
And I did a little homework, a little bit of homework. Would you believe Alabama and Michigan have met 6 times? And guess what?
Michigan has the lead.
No. We are evenly matched. 3 wins, 3 losses for both programs.
I remember every loss, Sean.
One of which came to, Doug will remember this, the GOAT of GOATs, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Bringing the Wolverines.
That was the 99 Orange Bowl.
And the only reason Michigan won that game was because I think Bama missed an extra point, right?
Wait, no, it was on New Year's Eve, I believe. But if it was New Year's Day, then it was 2000.
Right. It was either 99 or 2000. Yeah. And
it was my senior year of high school because I was watching that at a big screen in a pool hall in Florence, Alabama, my senior year of high school when he missed that kick.
Shout out Florence, Alabama, by the way. In the university nearby Florence, is that northern?
We also won the game because I think Sean Alexander had to come out for a play because he was tired.
Yeah. Ed throwing shots at Sean Alexander. who is an NFL MVP. Get out of here, Ed, with your
That's
Washington
what I
Commanders.
mean. That's how great he was.
You would be
God damn it,
correct.
Ed.
You would be correct. There is a college in Florence, Alabama, my hometown, my birthplace, called the University of North Alabama Lions, who in 93, 94, and 95 won back-to-back Division II national championships. And it was, I think, until maybe 2000, they hosted it at Brawley Stadium in Florence before they moved the location.
Are they in the conference with Western Kentucky now? Is that who?
No. They're still in the Atlantic Sun. They're still in or actually in football, they're in a unified conference with Austin P up in Clarksville, which
Well,
is about an hour.
They're moving up. They're going to move up in the next 20 years, I think. I mean,
well, I would imagine, but I think it's been like 5-6 years since they made the move up to FCS.
Because when I was in college, Western Kentucky was in my team's conference, which was at the time FCS. Now they're obviously FBS, the Hilltoppers. But I think this is going to be a great game, to be honest with you. And the great thing I've seen about this game, Alabama Michigan, is from what Kalen DeBoer has said, all of the Alabama studs are going to play in this game. Doug, have you seen anything different? I mean,
that's what I'm hearing. I mean,
Milroe's
I'm holding my breath because Milroe's supposed to play. But here's the thing: Milroe's that guy. I mean, over in Oklahoma, Oklahoma just concentrated on stopping Milroe, and you've seen what happened. So
yeah, but what did Jalen Milroe do against Georgia?
I mean, he looked good against Georgia.
He was dynamite. So
in the first half, he was, and he had a play. He had one play in the second half, and that's all he needed.
And his name is the great wide receiver for Alabama. He's going to play. Ryan Williams, right?
Yes, 17 years old. Is he 18 yet? I think he's.
I think he's finally 18. But I mean, I don't think for Michigan, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong. Will Johnson's not going to play, is he?
Not at all.
So who's covering Ryan Williams? I mean, I'd be throwing to Ryan Williams every freaking play.
Ed, are you covering Ryan Williams? Ed?
And also, Michigan's running back is off the. What's that, Jason?
I was saying he might be covering something else. I don't know if he's covering Ryan Williams.
Was he the potty? Are we having another potty moment on smacking off?
I mean, here's the way I look at it. If Michigan couldn't, of the three teams that had decent wide receivers, they went 1-2. They lost to Texas. Okay, they went 2-1. I'm sorry. I'm having a Freudian slip, but they should have been 1-2. They somehow squeaked the game out at home against USC that they had no business squeaking out. Other than USC forgot for the last minute and a half of that game how to tackle. But they basically lost at home to USC. They pulled that one out. But they got worked by USC's receivers and Miller Moss. They got absolutely destroyed by Quinn Ewers in Texas at home. Ohio State and Ryan Day, whenever they see maize and blue, forget how to play football. But if Alabama just plays their game, because they're not playing Oklahoma's defense, they're playing Michigan's defense, which is not very good. Mason Grant is already focused on the NFL draft, so he's not playing. So he's gone. I don't see, unless the Alabama players really just don't want to be there, if they play.
I mean, if they don't want to be there, they won't be there.
Right. Because we know in non-CFP games, we've seen, like today, like Georgia Tech didn't really want to be in Birmingham. That was obvious. And Vanderbilt really did. So these kind of smaller bowl games, it really depends on if your coaches and your players really want to be there and win the damn game. But if Alabama plays its A game, there's not an A game that Michigan can play where they don't win. You know, Alabama should win this game, period.
I think Bama can win if they play their C game, but they can't. Can't win if they play their F game, and we've seen that F game in Norman, and that Bama is capable of losing to Michigan, no fucking doubt.
If Alabama plays the way they played at LSU, which I think is their finest performance this year, Doug, you can tell me I'm wrong on that, but
No. I mean, it was.
They were spectacular against LSU. If they give you even 80% of that game, there's no reason, rhyme, why they don't walk out of that stadium with a W in their hand.
And you know what, guys? Michigan is going to win by losing, right? They'll win the life championship, right? They built
Absolutely.
this. Yep.
It kind of reminds you of that Black
I
Sabbath
wish Ed
song,
was here to
Ozzy.
tell me that Davis Mills was starting for Michigan at quarterback. Because if he does what he did against Ohio State, there's no way Alabama can't win this game.
Davis
I mean,
Mills
he
plays for the
threw for less
Texans.
than what Navy's quarterback throws for.
Davis Mills
Bob, it
plays
kind of
for the
reminds you of the
Houston
Black Sabbath
Texans.
song, doesn't it?
I think you may be
Oh, yeah.
thinking of Davis Warren.
Davis
Yes.
Warren, same guy. It doesn't matter. It's not an NFL quarterback. It's not even a Pop Warner quarterback. I mean, what do you have? 62 yards against Ohio State in the air. I mean, that's like going back to single wing football.
He's like an
All right,
NAI.
so wait a minute. One thing I disagree with. If we had our full complement of defensive players, we do have a pretty good defense. However, the bottom line is Bama 31-13 because we have a good kicker who will hit 2 field goals.
God damn it.
Shout out Michigan's kicker.
Hell yeah.
So Bob, you said it all. Michigan's they're gonna win it all by losing this, right?
Oh yeah, they're going to lose it.
But Doug, they're not really losers because they're champions. They're champions of life.
Exactly, Bob. It's like the Black Sabbath song, "Killing Yourself to Live."
Killing yourself to live. That's right. They're so bad. They're being put on par with the song from A Technical Ecstasy. So, but you know what?
And I tell you what, gentlemen, nothing would make me happier than to go into the new year, Old Lang Syne playing by the Beach Boys, and to see Michigan take an L as we start 2025. That would make my heart just swell.
I think
I like Alabama. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just gonna say this. This is the question that you have to ask for this game, and it is going because we were talking about: do these players want to be here? The Alabama players want to be here? They're suiting up and playing. Michigan, I know they had Grant declare for the NFL draft. He's not playing in this game, but the real question is: does Jalen Milroe want to be there? And I believe that he does because he's got to let the naysayers know again that he is not an incompetent quarterback. Because if he has another performance like he did against Oklahoma, it's going to be a very, very long offseason. Yes, you have Ty Simpson in the quarterback room, but you're also bringing in Keelan Russell, who is one of the top quarterbacks. My friends at 24/7 Sports have
that
ranked.
kid is incredible. Have you watched film on him?
Oh, I've watched plenty of it.
Oh, that kid is incredible. Alabama fans, get excited. Get excited.
I will just say this. You watch the film on Keelan Russell, it's going to hit like crack.
Yeah, that kid is dynamite. Dynamite.
So now it almost feels like to me, if I'm in Jalen Milroe's shoes, that I need a good performance in this game. And he's taking on a team he's taking on a team where he has the capability and with the talent, like Ryan Williams, as we mentioned, that he can put on that performance again and maybe kind of quiet the naysayers a little bit into the offseason, because if he has another bad performance like this, Paul Feinbaum Sports Talk Radio in Alabama is going to be on fire until September of next season about who's going to be the quarterback. Is it really going to be Jalen Milroe, or do you take a flyer out on Keelan Russell, Austin Mack, or Ty Simpson? So the question is does Jalen Milroe want to be there? And if he does, then I think Alabama's going to run away with this one very easily.
Yeah, I think Milroe, and again, I was there last year at the Rose Bowl against Michigan. He made one little mistake, and it didn't cost him the game. It did not. That was a little bit more on the Bama defense, and Alabama fans don't, crucify me for that. But Milroe, no. I mean, people that are always, ragging on Milroe.
Mildew.
No,
they
he's
call
not
it mildew.
I know they call him mildew, but that's just not fair. Jalen Milroe has won a lot of games for Alabama.
He's a good quarterback. He just makes mistakes. He makes mistakes,
right, but
and
he
some of
doesn't
them
make
at the worst time.
certainly. But I mean, we could look at the NFL level and we could say that about a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, look at Caleb Williams last night, and he was the Heisman Trophy. So the grass isn't always greener. But when Milroe is on his game, he's one of the best 5 quarterbacks in college football. I've seen it. I mean, when he's on his game, he's damn good. And I don't blame Milroe, first off, for the Vanderbilt loss. I don't. I blame the defense for the Vanderbilt loss.
Oh, me too.
Milroe put up numbers in that game, and the offense put numbers up in that game.
I definitely blame him for the Oklahoma. I don't know about the loss itself, but just, I think they should have made a change of quarterback. I really do.
But do you blame him, or do you blame the offensive coordinator for the scheme of the game and not adjusting to, okay, this is what the Oklahoma defense is going to do. Shouldn't we do something different?
They put everything into stopping Milroe, and we had no answer beyond that.
I blame that a little bit more because Milroe is, if the one thing you can say about him, one, he's been loyal to Alabama. He's been loyal to his coaches, both when he was with Saban and now DeBoer, and he tries his heart out with whatever the game plan is. Now, if the game plan is bad, you can't blame that on Milroe. You got to blame that on the offensive coordinator and the head coach. He can only do what his coach. I mean, he's not going to go out there and go, Johnny Unitas and just start ad-libbing at the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, maybe if you want that, then that's a different argument for a different day. But the kid has shown when he's put in good positions, he can make the plays whether it's his legs or his arm. He's a good quarterback. And the people that are saying this guy's trash, that's about a lot of baloney. That's a lot of baloney because there are about, what are there, 134 programs in FBS college football right now. There's about 130 of them that would love to have a Jalen Milroe as their quarterback. Period.
He's a good quarterback, but he has Jekyll and Hyde tendencies.
Sure, but not everyone's going to be John Elway. Not everyone's going to be John Elway.
So here's the problem with Milroe in terms of schematics, right? So what they do with Milroe is everything runs off the possible run action that Alabama might run. And they roll him to one side of the field. And when they do, the other side of the field is cut off. And he only has the available options that are right in front of him. Now, if he's not able to run at that point, so his decision is either to run or throw it to maybe 1 or 2 available options, right? So on the run, if one of those 2 available options is open, it's a great play. He broke away from it due to the run action. But you've pitched that side of the field, and if a team is able to take away whatever side of the field that they roll him to, then schematically they can beat Alabama.
I mean, I would proffer to you. I know Alabama lost to Oklahoma, but let's time travel back to August, right? When all the Oklahoma people were telling us that Jackson Arnold was the next greatest thing since sliced bread. Think they wouldn't want Jalen Milroe? Of course they would. Hell, they wish they had Dylan Gabriel back. And Dr. Balls, I'm going to throw you under the bus because you Kentucky fans thought Vandegrift was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread before the season started, and he was trash. You would have loved to have Jalen Milroe. So
we loved him. Yeah, you're right.
The only reason Alabama fans are upset right now is because the standard of where Alabama is not. This season was not to that standard because they are the gold bellwether stock of college football. They are the greatest program of all time. That's not debatable. And they've had a great history. They've had Bart Starr. They've had Joe Namath. They've had Ken Snake Stabler, and to list just but a few. And recently, Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Milroe, the grief that he's getting right now on social media it's a bit much for me. To me, the few games that they've lost this year, frankly, has been more on the defense than on what Jalen Milroe has done or not done. I think he's a very good young man, a good quarterback, and he can only be put in the places that he can be put because of coaching.
You're right about the defense, though. Because they went to the 5-2 defense, which would have been effective against the old Pac-12 that wanted to pass the ball all the time. But in the SEC, the 5-2 was basically useless because you have athletes on the outside everywhere. So that was a horrible.
And I
What's
argue
that?
the other is outside of Ryan Williams, who has been spectacular. He is an absolute. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's a hell of a wide receiver. What are the other 3 wide receivers doing for Alabama this year? Where have they been?
They haven't stepped up.
Get open. Milrow throws a good ball when he has, and that's the other thing. The offensive line has to protect him a little bit, but he can throw a damn good ball when he has the time and the protection. Guys got to get open. I'm not, eschewing the wide receivers other than Ryan Williams. You got to get open. You got to get open, and you got to catch the football. And that's a big deal.
All right.
The fact that
go ahead.
The fact that Alabama had so much promise but didn't quite hit it is the whole reason that they are eligible for the live championship.
Well,
They can still win this thing.
I'm going to make my prediction now. Give me Alabama 35, Michigan 17, and Sharon Moore and the Wolverines taking home the Life Championship Award from Butch Jones. Let's go.
All right, so I'm going with Alabama here, but I'm not going with confidence. I say that Bama wins 24-20. If they stay plus in the turnover category, if they're negative in the turnover category, Michigan's going to pull this game out, and that's how I feel about it.
Oh yeah, what you got, Ed?
As Jason picked on the game.
31-13 Bama. Well, I don't know how.
Yeah, that's a good score. That's a good score. I'll go with that.
31-13?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yep.
All right, and one more prediction before we go here. If Ohio State loses to Oregon, I think that there's a possibility that Brian Day does not come back next season. Because the Ohio State people are still fucking pissed over this Michigan game, big time.
Someone's been watching too much First Take.
I honestly believe that Ohio State fans have had it with this guy.
You can't though. You can't. You look at the record of Ryan Day since he's been.
No, I mean I agree. You got to stay with him. But
this would be more foolish. And I know a lot of our listeners don't watch the NFL, have a history of the NFL. This would be more foolish than the Chicago Bears firing Lovie Smith after he went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs because of a tiebreaker. And where have the Bears been since they fired Lovie Smith?
So let me just tell you,
they've made the playoffs one time.
I know you're familiar with Alex Bryan, and we talked a little bit today. He pretty much said that if Ohio State wins the national championship, it's still tainted as a motherfucker.
No, I disagree with that.
I did too.
I think that is absolutely foolish.
Doug phrased his words carefully. He said he doesn't come back. So I agree with you. They're not going to fire him, and Ryan Day's not going to walk away unless he's got another bag somewhere else. And given there's a team up north that needs a lot of help on
I'm with Ed. I don't believe they'll fire him.
Because
but I think
before you can present you have to ask yourself the secondary and tertiary effects of creating said problem. So the secondary effect is who do they hire if they fire Ryan Day?
I just think it's going to be a really bad environment for him if he doesn't win the national championship.
Who do you hire? Ryan Day could leave on his own to coach the Bears.
He's not going to the Bears. That is absolutely silly. That's
from one toxic environment to another.
Silly. That's almost as silly as the reports that Pete Carroll is going to take the Bears job. That's silly. It's not
how old is Pete Carroll, Sean?
Pete Carroll's the same age as Nick Saban.
Okay. Well, I mean, I heard Bill Belichick is back in college. Sorry, Bill Belichick is entered the college game now. So
Yeah, but he's got a GM to take some of that pressure off from him. So unlike these, so he got ahead of a game, and unlike other schools, he brought an NFL GM in to deal with this transfer portal thing, so that he could coach. I think he's delegating a lot of stuff, and the people that's poo pooing the fact that Belichick is the coach of North Carolina, I believe that they're premature. They ought to let this thing unfold because I think the man has a plan.
all right, guys. So I'm giving the final fuck you, and then I'm hitting this outro, right? Go who? Go Bama. Not for the live championship though. Go Michigan for the live championship.
Hallelujah.
I just think we're happy to have more games. They're going to be exciting. The only thing I would have a rub with is I did look at the schedule. The semifinals, we're all excited about the quarterfinals are going to be on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, which is great. We love that. Yeah. But the semifinals are on a Thursday and a Friday. That just doesn't seem very college football to me.
God damn it. Are we going to have to do a fucking show on Wednesday?
We're going to have to do a show on Wednesday for a Thursday, Friday game. And then the championship game, I think, is on a Monday. And I get they don't want to butt heads with the NFL, but it just, after New Year's Day, it's going to seem very not college football. And I'm curious to see not only the television ratings, which television ratings matter. And I hate to say this, but, the first round of the playoffs still lost to the NFL because there were 2 NFL games on that day. Those NFL games drew better. But I'm curious to see how many fans, regardless of what teams make it to the semifinal, actually travel to the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. I think that's going to be a big barometer, and that's just my final thought.
All right.
Yeah.
Jason, give us a final thought.
Well, I'm wondering if the belly aching is going to continue about the 12-team playoff. If Texas does indeed blow out Arizona State like they're expected to, or Penn State blows out Boise State like they're expecting to, because there's the one thing, we all love college football and everything, but we also love to bitch and complain about everything.
I mean, there's going to be belly aching.
Football fans have been doing that since the 1890s.
There's going to be belly aching, but there's no way, like y'all said, you can't get it back in the bag. This is not going to it'll expand way before. There's no way they're going to take this down from 12 teams to anything less.
I do think
belly aching. I was born in 1983. Auburn fans still think they won the 1983 national title and not Miami.
There's someone out there. I've met one of those people. Yes, so I can confirm that. But I do think
Eric Easter was one of them.
I do think though that there may be kind of a looking back on this, and maybe some tweaks that might be done. And I think there could be the possibility that they keep the conference championship automatic bids, but they see them appropriately more towards the rankings, which I do believe if they do that, and I think Notre Dame has a case that if Notre Dame right now is not eligible for a first round bye because it's for conference champions, if they open that up, then you have to let Notre Dame be eligible for one of those buys, which, by the way, as a true capitalist myself, move out of the way, Butch, as a true capitalist myself, that I believe that Notre Dame, as an independent, they have the right to be independent. I have no problem with them being independent. They can join a damn conference. They cannot join one. I don't care, because why take a slice of the pie when you can have the whole damn thing? And that's the whole reason why they're independent to begin with, because they get the whole damn pie and they don't have to get a slice of it. If they wanted a slice with bigger money, they would already be in the SEC, in the Big Ten, or the ACC. But they seem to kind of like it the way they are.
That's a factual statement, because I'll tell you, for all the people that are saying that Notre Dame makes more money by being independent, that's factually, financially incorrect. Because if they wanted to make more money, I'll give you just a simple, the big one that everyone talks about is the Big Ten. If who makes more money because of television contract than Notre Dame? Northwestern. You know who else does? Minnesota. You know who else does? Iowa. Because the Big Ten's television deal is vastly superior to Notre Dame's little television deal.
I noticed that you chose to name off teams that there's no way they would come close if they were independents.
Right. But because they're in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten just signed the most lucrative media deal, which will soon be surpassed when the SEC signs their new deal with ESPN, Disney, whatever you want to call it. But it's not so much about the money. It's about, for football, because Notre Dame for its first 60 years tried to join the Big Ten and was told politely, go pound sand for the first 60 years. And then, they had to figure it out on their own, and they figured it out on their own. And then 1999 rolls around, and the Big Ten goes, well, you know what? We could actually we kind of really want you. And Notre Dame's like, well, you didn't want us for the first 60 years, and now you do. So tit for tat, go pound sand. It's the ability to schedule. And yeah, we got the little mini deal with the ACC, so we got to play 5 or 6 ACC teams a year. No problem.
And that just helps with scheduling. I mean,
that helps with the scheduling, but the ability, to keep our now where it will turn will be if USC, because of its trials and tribulations with now joining the Big Ten, finally ultimately goes, all right, we've had enough. We're not going to play Notre Dame anymore. You guys got to go. Okay, that might move the apple cart a little bit, but the fact that we've scheduled in the last few years homes and homes with Ohio State, with Georgia, with Texas A&M, with Wisconsin, upcoming Arkansas, upcoming Texas, and then at the end of the decade, Alabama, clearly kind of puts the poo-poo on all these. Well, they got to join a conference. They don't play any well.
Yeah,
we're kind of playing. We're kind of playing the best. We're not playing your whole conference, of course, obviously. And last I checked, because I'm on all the Notre Dame pages, the SEC and the Big Ten, as of the last 2-3 years, have not offered a membership slot to Notre Dame. So we really can't. If they got to join a conference. The only one we could join right now is the ACC. I'm sure if we threw out an offer to the Big 12, they would gobble us up in a second. But
the only way that the Notre Dame will ever join a conference in any of our lifetimes is when Notre Dame finally, or when NBC finally says, "Yeah, we can't give you money anymore." And then they go to hang on.
That's not going to happen because, I mean, look at just this.
I'm getting there. Hold on. I'm getting there.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, go ahead.
When NBC says, "Yeah, we're not going to do this anymore," and then they go, because really, if NBC will go, then CBS goes over there. They might be interested. They don't have the SEC deal anymore. We have to deal with the Big Ten now. They might be interested in it, but
Fox
hold on. Hang on. But the CBS says, "Nah, we can't do it." It's still a national brand, but they look at it like, you know what? You don't do it for us anymore. Then go to ABC. Can't do this anymore. Go to Outdoor Life or Versus or whatever the hell it's called now.
Well,
we can't do that
on CW Network this year.
Or the CW. And the CW says, no, we can't do it.
What you mean is when Notre Dame can't get a TV deal at all.
Correct. When nobody will give them money. That day's never coming. You're absolutely right. It'll never come.
I would proffer to you, Jason, the only other way that they would join a conference outside of the TV deal answer is and you're absolutely right. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I would add a caveat to that. The day they say if you're not number 1 or number 2 in your conference and you can't make the college football playoff, and Notre Dame does not have any sort of entry into the playoff.
Yeah, that's not going to happen either.
And
there's no way that's going to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen because Notre Dame is there. If Notre Dame joins a conference, you may see that happen for whatever's left in the independent teams, which I don't know. I mean, there's a few.
But I would even offer to you, I mean, let's just say for sake of argument that Notre Dame is in the Big Ten this year and has a schedule comparable to Indiana, we've already seen that they beat Indiana. Would they not be in?
Absolutely, they would.
Yeah. I mean, so
I think they would be.
the only conference they would not be in is if they had to play in the SEC, which we all agree on this podcast is the best conference. It has been for the last 30 years. All right. So, but the problem is for the SEC fans, and Jason, you've been talking about this a little bit on the side, we've been discussing it, is what the SEC fan fails to understand. It's like, well, they'd be this or they'd be that if they were in the SEC. But here's the thing. Do you not
Good old
think
hypotheticals.
they're all hypotheticals? That's number one. You're absolutely right. But number two, do you not think these programs you're saying they'd be this or they'd be that in the SEC, if they got an SEC offer, they wouldn't jump at it? They would. Every school that's not in the SEC right now, but for maybe Notre Dame, would kill, Kansas State or Iowa State or Arizona State. Well, did they ever get an SEC offer? Absolutely not. No, but they would love if the SEC offered Kansas State right now. What do you think they say?
Kansas State's taking that. They'd be stupid not to.
They'd be in faster. You could say fart. So but it's not in you can't say this team would be this or that in the if you are not willing to let them. I mean, Georgia Tech would love to probably be back in the SEC. They were an original SEC member. That invitation isn't coming tomorrow. It's not coming in 5 years. It's probably not coming in 10 years.
But I think also, too, that Notre Dame gets dogged a lot for not joining the conference. And then when they go, like 2012, when they faced off against Alabama and got the brakes beat off of them because they were just overly unmatched. And they say, yeah, see, Notre Dame should have never been in that game. Really, though? Really? They earned that ass whooping. It's not. Yeah, they earned to get their ass. They earned the right to get their ass whooped.
They earned
in
the
that
ass
game.
whipping. Absolutely.
And again, everybody wants to talk about fairness in college football, and especially hilariously the SEC fan base, where they want to talk about fairness when they have every freaking advantage that you could think of that the Big 12 would absolutely kill for, the old Pac-12 would absolutely kill for just to come back to life. And you will still want to talk about fairness. How can you do that with 134 FBS teams, probably more to come here in the next couple of years, and especially when the majority of your blue chip talent is now getting bought and paid for to go to the SEC and to the Big Ten, where a lot of the saturation for your market is going to be. Now, I know there's some SEC fans who have the wet dream of a 12-team playoff of nothing but SEC, but
why then you call it a national champion? I mean, if that was the case, then why don't we just have an SEC invitational, and whoever the SEC champ is, okay, they're the national champion.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that goes to my next question. After all the belly aching that came with the first round of these playoff games, which were lopsided maybe because 4 of the teams that won might actually be really, really good. So it comes down to this. Do you want a playoff or do you want an invitational? Do you want a playoff where you play your regular season games to get a shot at the playoff, no matter you're 11-1, how weak or strong your schedule is, 9-3, whatever?
Well, I want this transcript of what you're saying because I completely agree with you. I want it sent notarized to Lane Kiffin's office in Oxford, Mississippi, because he's been on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days, saying, it's just terrible. It's just awful because his Ole Miss Rebels aren't in it.
And from what I've gathered too, so let's just say you get what you want, then you get the best teams. Move out of the way, Butch. Best teams. Then you call it a college football don't call it a college football playoff. You call it an invitational because that would be accurate. And in that way, there is no confusion whatsoever of what this tournament is about. Is it a playoff where the teams that survived conference championship, no conference championship, SEC Big Ten, no SEC Big Ten, that if they survived to get to that. Which again, there were not 12 national championship caliber teams this season. There was probably 6.
No,
but we
and
got
we
to
may-
feel
and
we
we
got to
may
field a
very-
field of 12.
We may very well get Texas, Georgia, number 3. We'll get 2 SEC teams in the national championship game.
It's possible, yeah.
And my thought is, if that's the case, I as a non-SEC fan, I'm not aggressively against the SEC, but I'm not an SEC pom-pom holder either. But if those are the 2 best teams, those are the 2 best teams playing in the national championship game, and I'm okay with that. And then my question is, for all the Ole Miss, South Carolina, Alabama,
throw Miami in there, too.
naysayers from the beginning of the playoff. Well, where are you now? What are they going to say? Alabama, Ole Miss, or South Carolina would have beat these 2 teams. Well, you had your opportunity then, and you didn't do it.
That's why
if it's Texas and Georgia, the rest of the country is not going to have a problem with this. But at least it's not an invitational. It was a playoff. You had all these other schools from other conferences. And if it's Texas and Georgia in the national championship game, then no one should have an axe to grind. You should accept the result, whether it's Texas or Georgia that wins the and then there's another SEC championship, and Paul Feinbaum can be happy again.
But I think also, too, I can understand where fans wanted to see much more competitive games. I think we all agree with that. But sometimes that's just not how it worked out.
Jason, we've seen Super Bowls that get blown out.
Correct. You do. You're absolutely right.
I mean, that's just football. I mean, you can't, would we all
he's clapping. That means he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'm clapping. I'm clapping because he's right. He's right.
Would we all love the first?
I'm awake, but
first,
barely.
Would we all love the first Giants, Patriots, David Tyree helmet catch, 17-14, where you're on pins and needles for 4 quarters and you can't breathe? We'd all love that game. Or to make it on a college level, the 2006 Rose Bowl, Texas and USC, where I mean, my God, what a game, right? Or Bama, Georgia, when Tua hit the pass in overtime for the touchdown.
17.
Thank you, Doug.
18 actually.
Would we all love that game? Yeah, that's what we all want as fans. Do we get clunkers like Georgia TCU every now and then? Unfortunately, and the people
Alabama Clemson 18.
Alabama Clemson 18. But at the same, people go, man, TCU didn't belong in the game, and they forget, but TCU beat Michigan, the Big Ten champ, the week before that. So
can't leave out LSU Oklahoma in 2019 either.
Oh, I made a lot of money on that game. But I mean, and LSU Clemson wasn't really much of a game. Joe Burrow and them dominated Clemson. But we all want to go back to a great college football. We all want the Miami versus Nebraska, where Osborne has to choose: is he going to kick the extra point, going to take a tie, or go for 2, go for the win? That's kind of my barometer of great game. And they went for 2, they didn't get it. Miami won. Would we all want that as our championship game? Sure, but in the reality of the situation, most of the games are not even championship games. In our lifetime, for example,
you try to get the best matchups, but you don't succeed.
I'm from the Midwest, and I have a ton of Buckeye fans as friends. They played Florida in the national championship game. I think that was in 07 for the 06 season. And I told them, Florida is going to blow your doors off. And they were laughing at me after Ted Ginn Jr. took the opening kickoff back. Then he celebrated and he blew his ankle out. And I said, Florida's still, you were talking, Florida's not going to, they're down 7-0. I go, just wait, just watch. I bet Florida big on that game. And Florida came back, absolutely destroyed them. I think it was 41-17. Don't quote me on that. But that was a national championship game. And it was a blowout, the games, the national championship game being closer more often than not is not really reality. It's just not. I mean,
There you go.
everybody
On that note, Bob.
everybody thought the rematch between Bama and LSU after that great 9-6 game was going to be close. Bama won that game 21-0. Do people forget that?
I mean, it was a closer game than it was a close game. I mean, LSU just didn't.
But
didn't
Doug,
have an offense.
LSU didn't break the 50-yard line until the fourth quarter.
That's it.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think in college football, it's just a little different. I think people expect it to be like the NFL, and it's just not going to be that way.
No, you're right.
You're right.
All right. So
great show, gentlemen. Great show.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
See you next week.
Good night.
Smacking off the podcast. Fuck your city, dog balls. The college sports authorities.
Thank you for supporting Smacking Off the Podcast. Make sure to stream in every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for an all-new live cast.